Good morning. Sorry I was like a little bit late. I stumbled upon a video from Peter Hyatt on my tablet and I was like, what is this? And I was trying to decide if it was relevant to us, which it might be, but I'm not going to pull it up today. It's kind of a gloomy, cloudy day today. So the weather always affects me in a bad way. So I'm trying to we can do it. Hey, wait, what? Hey, Karma. I figured out how to log into Nightbot, by the way. So I'm going to try to get Nightbot to come in here, maybe, if it's possible. The whole thing is all different now. The whole interface thing is all different. And I'm trying to figure out if there's anything that's missing or incorrect or we should maybe get rid of. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's gloomy there too. Yeah. It always makes me feel down and I really hate it. So, how is everybody? Pretty good. Hey, Sarah. So we are taking our very sweet, slow time with this, but today should go a little faster because now the news pieces and stuff sort of get scattered. It's not like an everyday thing. But we're starting, I think, June 22nd, 2021, and there's a lot that's going to happen in July of that year, and then again in November. But somebody had asked me about the 5:30, 6:30 problem. Do you guys remember talking about the 5:30, 6:30 problem? So I was digging through all of my, oh my gosh, you should see the folder on my computer just full of all the stuff about summer. I was digging through all of that looking for the links for this where I got it, and I found one of them. So this is from the Times News website, but I printed it, saved it as a PDF because there's like a billion ads on that website. So this is from July 13 of 2021 right here. If you want to type out the link, it's at the top there. All right. So there's a couple of interesting things in this. The way that this saved on the PDF is really weird, so we're just going to have to work through this, and I won't be able to see you right now. So it says here, nearly a month after 5-year-old Summer Wells disappeared from her rural Hawkins County home, her father has all but given up on ever seeing her alive again, which is a sidebar. A long time ago, we had discussed this about how it's like just a natural instinct that's been around forever, in which males tend to give up hope on finding their children much sooner than females because it's just this motherly instinct that has been in existence from the beginning of time. Whatever. Quote, "I'll see her in the resurrection," Donald Wells said on Monday. Wells spoke with the Times News on Monday about how his family has been coping with the loss of Summer over the past 4 weeks, outside influences such as social media, and the need to continue living their lives. Here we go. Here's where 5:30 comes in. Wells was at work at the time of Summer's disappearance on the evening of June 15th. Summer's mother, Candace Wells, and 3 brothers reported to police that Summer was last seen on June 15th around 5:30 p.m. going into the basement of their home on Ben Hill Road in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. Donald Wells has believed since day one that Summer was abducted from their home. He said that belief was confirmed fairly quickly by search dogs that picked up her scent in the backyard and followed a, quote, dog trail through the woods that ended at Ben Hill Road. Quote, "We've had several people sneaking around there, but we've had them sneaking around at night," Wells said. "We've never had somebody up there at 5:30 in the afternoon that we know of. They didn't come up the driveway. They came up a dog trail from the woods." The canine dog that they used, that's where the scent took them, down through the woods, not the driveway. At Ben Hill Road is where the dog's scent ended. I already knew all that, but that just confirmed it for me. Wells added, "It's really discouraging. Only God can turn this around at this point. The police can't come up with anything. All these people on Facebook all over the world can't come up with anything. Nobody can. Only God can. Somebody was either hiding in the weeds there waiting for her to go in the basement. They, as in her mother and brothers, weren't 30 feet away when she got gone. This is absurd. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. This is absurd. Somebody was either hiding in the weeds there, waiting for her to go in the basement. How would somebody know that she was going into the basement? Like, I mean, how would a stranger know? Okay. How would a stranger know that there was property up there? First of all. Second of all, how would the stranger know how to even get into the house and access the house and the house layout? Number three, how is the stranger going to know that Summer was home at that moment? Number four, how is he or she, the stranger, going to know that Summer was going to go in a basement at an exact time on an exact day by herself? And how is that stranger supposed to know that Candace isn't going to be there and that no one else will be there but Summer will be alone downstairs? How is all of that realistic? Anyone? But the interesting part is, I think, they weren't 30 feet away when she got gone. How does he know where they were? And if they were only 30 feet away, how is it that they didn't hear anything? And if this person came up on the property and ran down the dog trail, surely there would be noise. Surely this whole thing is whatever. So here's the 5:30. This is where 5:30 comes from, to the person who was asking me about it. So the question is, I love that they included the questions. The question is, how is your family coping a month later? And Dawn says, my wife isn't doing too good. She's pretty upset. She has some anger issues and all this stuff on social media. Right now, she's so tore up and it's just getting worse for her. It's bad for me too. I'd do anything to have my baby back. I've got to put my faith in God. If it wasn't for that, I'd have lost it a long time ago. Question, how are your three sons doing? Now, don't forget, this is like mid-July, 13. This is the same time that they're going to get taken away. So question is, how are your three sons doing? Don says, they're coping with it okay. I don't know why, but they're dealing with it okay. They're doing a lot better than me and Candace are. Maybe my kids are looking at it like, maybe God will bring her back. I don't know. Statistically speaking, there's a good chance she's already dead. I hate to think that. I love her with all my heart. If nothing else, I'll see her in the resurrection. As long as I keep the commandments and do what I'm supposed to do, I'll see her. Ugh. When I was reading through this earlier, yesterday, I was like, "Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? There's so much we could talk about here." Sorry to we're in July right now, but we'll back it up. The question: any concerns about sending your sons back to school? Dawn says, "We don't have a choice. We're sending them down to the school bus stop by Beech Creek Road by themselves, and I don't think we'll ever do that again." Okay. Well stated that the family is attempting to return to some semblance of normal life. He said, I've made up my mind not to let Satan win. Hey, Bertie. Question is, how do you do that? John says, not let him get me down. I could be down and not go back to work and let it affect me in every way, but I can't do that. I've still got to move forward. I've still got to work. I've still got to try, even though I miss her. We live in an evil world. I'm not the first one to lose a family member. All sort of tragedies have happened since the beginning of creation. There's been all kinds of bad stuff going on. Here we go. He also stated that despite past issues with alcohol, quote, I'm not going to let Satan convince me to go drinking. Fast forward a couple months and he gets arrested, remember? Then he goes on, not going down that road. I choose life, I choose God. Before in my life I was weaker and just the least little thing would be an excuse to get drunk. Not no more. This is the most horrific thing I could have ever thought of happening. Question, has your theory about what happened to Summer changed? Answer. Dawn says, no, she's been abducted in my mind 100%. I know Candace wouldn't lie to me about any of the facts. She has no reason to, and she wouldn't lie. So presumably, the story that Dawn has, he's saying he wasn't there, and so he has to have a story that was given to him. And obviously, he's saying, here, Candace gave him the story, and so that's where the 5:30 has to have come from, if that makes sense. He backpedals on that, which we all know. Question: how did lie detector tests play into the investigation? Answer: Don says, at first I didn't get no sleep for 2 days. I couldn't sleep for 2 days. It was the worst misery and pain I've ever felt in my life. I wasn't able to take a lie detector test. They made me wait a little bit, but when I did take it, I passed. They made Candace wait 5 days longer to take hers. She just wasn't able to. She tried and she wasn't able to. People are saying we failed and we took another test. That's not the case. So when we did take them, we both passed. Question: did they ever do any questioning of your sons? Don says, they took them to specialists because they couldn't confirm or they couldn't come out and question them, but yes, they have questioned them. They also gave my mother in law a lie detector test and she also passed. Question: is social media still affecting your family? Don says, somebody made a fake account with me and then they put on there that I buried some other woman's body at the lake. So the TBI has been at the lake looking for her body. It's just ridiculous what people are doing and these psychics and what they're saying and doing whatever they can to get their story out there. The Bible says clearly it's an abomination. When you're with a psychic and you think you're talking to your dead relatives, that's untrue. Jesus made it clear that when you die, you sleep until the resurrection. You have no conscious state whatsoever. So if you're talking to somebody, it's an evil spirit. Well said, the past month has been like a bad dream, but he is hanging on to his memories of summer. Don says, we had such a great love for each other. She loved me, and I don't know why. I've never had someone love me so much in my life, and it's been awesome between me and her. It really has killed me since she's been gone. At first, it was so horrific knowing that someone abducted her. Can you hear my eyes rolling? And the cops are looking around, all around our house, knowing that she's not there. I wish the cops would have blocked off both ends of Beech Creek and contained our area because I'm sure she's hundreds of miles away. I can't blame them, but I'm really upset. It's little too late to now. It's little too late now. Summer stands 3 feet tall. She weighs 40 pounds with blonde hair, blue eyes. She was last seen wearing gray pants and a pink shirt. Might have been barefoot. Anyone who has seen Summer or has information on her whereabouts, that's call the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at 423-272-7121 or TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND. Such a load. My intention is to go back and look at all those answers and stuff to see if I can figure out anything different. Now, I can't get the halo wing. I just can't get there. It just doesn't make sense. That just doesn't work for me. That whole idea doesn't work. The whole taking her from the basement doesn't work. Candace's story has changed over time. Every time someone brings something up online or in real life or wherever, Candace adds to her story, or she takes away, or she alters it somehow to sort of conform or adapt with what people are calling out. So I still stand firm in my belief. Okay, the very first statement a person makes is probably the most reliable to analyze. And in general, just generally speaking. So we have that first interview with the blue tank top. And the way that she starts and stops her statement, it's like red flags for me all over the place. The fact that she just is like this and this and this and this, and then the end. And that was it. The end. Let's see if I can find this. I sent an email to one of our new friends, one of our new statement analysis friends, about Candace's interview because something had struck me, and I don't know why I didn't see it before. Why is this not going? There we go. Let me look here. Okay, so this is what I wrote about the blue tank top interview. And we can go back and watch it. Oh no, it's coming up today. One of the things that I want you to pay attention to is the way that Candace is talking. When she's doing, we did this, like we did the flowers and the candy and all that. Every time she says an event, everything she lists, it's and this, and this. We did this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and then she was gone. There's like an and between everything, every little thing that's happened. It's this, and this, and this, and this. I couldn't tell you how many times I've watched that video. And it wasn't until just a couple of days ago that I'm like, wait a minute, this repeated use of the word and is important. So I went digging back through all of my information. And that's actually called something. Polysyndeton. You want me to put that in the chat? Copy. Because I was really interested about this. This is the word right here. The definition is it's something that where somebody repeatedly uses conjunctions like and or but in close succession. So they're like the repetition of something. This and this and this and this and this. And there's a number of reasons that somebody would do that. The person that I was chatting with about this via email had indicated that they believed that Candace was reciting something from memory, a script from memory, and so she's like going through like a bullet point, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So when we watch that, you'll see what I'm talking about. But that's what it's called, that repetition of the conjunction. Not interesting. One of the places that I looked said that people often do this to like buy time in their story. Hey, wait, what? It's fascinating. So let's get out of there now that that's all done. So we're starting on June 22nd. There's several very short videos in here that are like a minute or two or less than that. Um, so we're just going to play through this and we'll pause it and talk about it. Hi, Wondering Hearts. In Grandis's interview with WJHL, I counted around 30 ants. Yeah, it's the way that she says it. It's very interesting to me. Let's just pull that up first. Let's just do that. And we were planting flowers, and we went, oh, the order of the events is also weird. Okay, we'll do this. Let's share. Where are you? There you are. Okay, we'll watch a portion of this and then we'll back up. This is the word. Okay. Let me turn these on and put them somewhere. All right. Shouldn't be too bad. Here we go.
I know she didn't walk away from this property by herself or off this yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here. Me and my mother.
Okay, here we go. Consider this, okay? This and thing.
Has lured her away from here. Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer. I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
Do you see what I mean? It's like one of those things where it's like if somebody points something out to you that you didn't really notice before, and then that's all that you can see, like after that, as soon as like notice this, that's all that I can hear is this and this and this and then this and then this and then this. One of the other things about this is that she says, um, so they did the flowers, and we went in after we got done washing our hands. It's weird. It's a little out of order. It's like, why didn't you say, and then we washed our hands, and then we went inside, and then we got a piece of candy? It's the wrong order. Like she goes backward in her timeline. Should we watch it one more time? And this, and this, and this.
From here, me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back, and I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
The end. Do you see what I'm saying? About the and. You'll never unhear that, and I really apologize. But I really wanted to make a point about that. The 2 minutes is BS. Birdie says, in one interview, she was expressing disgust over it taking law enforcement 45 minutes to arrive after they were called, which to me seems like an appropriate response. Yeah, they called 911 at 6:31, and the first officer got there at 7:01, according to the dispatch people, the broadcastify. But they live in the country. You know what I mean? Just a second. Oh, I had to sneeze. Okay, I feel much better. Yeah, I know she complained about that, but it's not like they lived immediately into town. And if you listen to the Broadcastify recording, you can hear the sirens on the police cars when they like radio in. You can hear the sirens going, so they're obviously driving very quickly. Anyhow, so ridiculous. Thank you. So we're gonna back her up. This will come up again shortly. So we are starting with the 22nd of June, and we'll just progress until we're kind of tired. So here we go.
Follow a breaking news alert at this hour. Excuse me. This is the Amber Alert, of course, issued for a little girl out of Hawkins County. Summer Wells has now been missing for 1 week, and as of today, crews have covered more than 4.5 square miles in their search for the 5-year-old. So she was last seen June 15th walking near her home in the Beech Creek community. And late this afternoon, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation announcing a shift in their search tactics.
News 2's Alex Dennis is here with all of those details. Alex.
Well, Eric and Erica, that is right. For 7 days now, crews have been scouring the mountainous and dangerous terrain near Summer Wells' home. Hundreds of boots on the ground, combing the area for any sign of that little girl. Now, the TBI now telling us after today, the search for Summer Well will focus on specific areas using specialized teams.
We will have specialized search teams, whether it be canine, specialized man tracking, USAR teams that we've already utilized to go back into these areas. Once we get a lot of these people out, it may make this area calm down a little bit, but we will have people in the Beech Creek community from one end to the other, working tirelessly day in and day out.
Also today, new details about the rocky relationship between Summer's parents. According to the court documents, the 5-year-old's mother filed last year for a protective order against her husband, Don Wells. They said she was afraid for her children and for herself. In October of last year, police came to the home of Don Wells for a report of domestic assault. A warrant said at one point Wells pushed his wife down, injuring her knee, then punched himself in the face multiple times and then left the home. Wells was arrested and booked into the Hawkins County Jail on multiple charges, including domestic assault, possession of a handgun while under the influence, and unlawful possession of a weapon. But those charges were dropped just months ago in April. And as for the emergency protective order filed for the wife, she chose to drop it just 4 days later. Guys.
Yeah, Broadcastify, how it works is that it's a live stream. So whatever is happening right now, it's like streaming it right now. Except it's like a plus or minus, I think, 4 minutes or so. So it might be 4 minutes behind or 4 minutes like so the little time block that's up there, they block them off, I think, in half-hour increments. And so it can say like 6:31 to 7 o'clock or something. But that could be a plus or minus like 3 or 4 minutes. But if you were to go to Broadcastify right now, it live streams what's going on right this moment. But they delete the files after 1 year, I think, like 365 days, then you can't access them anymore. They go away. Hey, not crazy. I'm so glad you're here. Another one where she's outside of her home.
Earhart.
Okay, so here we go. This is the media briefing from the 24th. So as a reminder, we had the shifting of the language. June 24. I probably should take notes before I come on here, but I like to do it with you guys. So if you guys remember the one we watched before from the 21st, we got this changing of language. We want to reiterate that the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear. Leading to. Now, when I asked our new statement analysis friend what he thought, he didn't read too much into that, but I think that's important, especially the way that she stuttered there on the last one we watched, where she begins to say, make the sound S, or I'm sorry, well, C, like, how did that go? Surrounding, right? We want to reiterate that the circumstances, because it used to be surrounding her disappearance, and then on the 21st, it changed to leading to her disappearance. I think that's relevant. He does not. I just do. The way that she stuttered on that made it like seal the deal for me. All right, here we go. Good old TBI Leslie.
Afternoon, I'm Leslie Earhart with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. The status is the same as it was on Monday when we last held a media briefing. We're still trying to find Summer. It's now been 1 week and 2 days since she went missing. There's still two aspects of this case, the active search and the investigation. You'll hear more about the search in just a minute. TBI agents and Hawkins County detectives working alongside the FBI continue to work around the clock to determine what happened to Summer Wells. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we can't discuss everything we're doing and have done to find Summer. Here's what we can tell you. Numerous residents and individuals associated with the family have been interviewed. Surveillance video and photos have been reviewed, as well as other potential digital evidence. We're still working to identify everyone in the area on the afternoon that Summer went missing. One of you asked us in a previous briefing the standard amount of time it takes for a case like this to be resolved. While every case is different, this one is definitely outside of the norm. Typically, in an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case is headed and what might have happened within a few days. In this situation, despite doing everything within our power and exploring all avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear.
There we go again. Okay, I knew that was coming. That was interesting. How many times have we watched this? I'm going to back that up just a bit.
And what might have happened outside of the norm. Typically, in an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case is headed and what might have happened.
Typically, we know what might have happened. So what does that mean? That like they don't know and they have no clue? And if so, why not? As if we don't know the answer. I'm going to write it down again. See, I'm telling you that changing of that language is, I think it's important. I do. I wish that we could get some more information. Happened. Hi, Animal Lover. I'm glad you're here.
Within a few days. In this situation, despite doing everything within our power and exploring all avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear.
You know, that to me, that says a whole lot without saying a whole lot. Despite doing everything that we can, we still don't have any idea. Typically, we know what might have happened, but despite everything that we're doing, everything that we can, everything that we've explored, the circumstances leading to the disappearance remain unclear.
Avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear.
It's like verbatim, leading to. If you guys remember, when I plugged that information into my little analyzer the last time, let me see if I can find that. Let's see. Okay, so what it told me was that there's a big difference between using the word surrounding, and leading to, and that it likened it like this. Circumstances surrounding her disappearance are more broad. Typically refers to the general environment, the people present, the setting, the aftermath, the ripple effects, like a cloud encompassing not only the disappearance, but everything around it, like the whole deal. Just a general concept. Think of it like a cloud around the event. And then the circumstances leading to her disappearance. This is specific. It's not broad, and it implies that there was a sequence that certain actions or events may have triggered or contributed to her disappearance, that there may be responsibility or behavior patterns under scrutiny. It subtly shifts the focus from what was happening around her disappearance to what happened right before she disappeared that caused it. It's a meaningful distinction. Why would TBI make that change? Because this shift narrows the investigative lens, suggests that they may be reevaluating the timeline or version of events given by key individuals, may reflect internal suspicion about what someone did, failed to do, or lied about shortly before Summer vanished. So when TBI says we want to reiterate that the circumstances leading to her disappearance remain unclear, they're not just being vague, they're signaling we don't know exactly what happened that caused this, and we don't fully believe the version of events that we've been told. That's what it told me when I threw it into my analyzer. I think it's relevant. I think it's important. The way she stumbled upon it the last press conference, I believe it means something. Because if you're talking about something leading to, like the events that led me to this live stream, well, I put a bunch of videos in a playlist. I took a bunch of notes. I looked for that one article for that person that was asking about 5-3. I did all of these things to prepare for this event, right? And here we are. So rather than talking about the event itself and everything around it, it would be like, what did I do to prepare? What am I doing right now? And maybe what am I going to do afterwards? Like all of the things, including the event, surrounding the event, leading up to. It's very specific that there's a specific time they're talking about, not necessarily the event itself, but what happened before that led up to and probably caused that event to happen. That's how I distinguish it. That's how my analyzer distinguished it. It is what it is.
I understand the lack of answers frustrates you and the public, but trust me, no one is more frustrated than we are. If we develop information that will lead to locating Summer, we will share that with you first and foremost. In the meantime, we ask anyone with information who hasn't come forward to please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. I'll turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Thank you. Just to go along with Leslie, I know there's a lot of social media going on out there, a lot of detectives going on, but they're absolutely useless unless these people that's 100% positive calls 1-800-TBI-FIND. That means nothing. We're monitoring all social media and everything that you all put out from people that you all interview. And I assure you, you'd have to work very hard to find somebody that we hadn't talked to. They may not tell you. One point I want to make clear up, obviously, is a couple of days ago, I asked for the public not to help us in our search in the woods and stuff. That is because we know where every searcher is, where every team is, and the captain and his staff, they're tracking everyone. So if we get the general public in the woods, we don't know about it, then they're going to get missed when they go home or don't go home. So it's going to be somebody else that we have to generate time and information and resources to find. What I did ask for, and I still need, is all the people in Upper Beech Creek, Hawkins and Sullivan County to search their property again and again. You got to look for a small child. You have to look for evidence of a small child's being. And if you got field cameras, if you got security cameras, we need you to check those again. Just keep checking them and checking them. We're trying to find every vehicle is in this holler they're living since we started this. And we also did a roadblock, which helped at the same time that she was reported missing, to see if we come in contact with somebody that's been working that we could see.
The roadblock.
Obviously,
the roadblock. Remember the roadblock? That Tim, and the situation with Tim, and how there was the roadblock and all the searchers and everything, on the TBI Twitter at the time, how they were showing all the videos of the searchers walking through that really tall grass and stuff, and how when Tim is there at 3:30, there's no one there. Like, nobody is there, even though there was the roadblock that day.
nothing came out of that, but it's just another tool that we've used to make this happen. So if the general public that lives in this area will go back and search their outbuildings, their barns, their hay fields. Now it's mowing season, so when they mow, they need to pay attention. And if you have a resident that cannot search their property themselves, if they'll call my office at 423-272-4848, I will send an officer to your residence to search your property for you. It's a cooperation that we must need, because I know some of the residents probably getting frustrated with seeing the officers, but as the captain will tell you, we've had very intense operations all week long for 9 days now, and we're not done yet, because like I told you from day one, it's about finding Summer. That's the number one goal here. Yep.
Thank you, Sheriff. As of June 24th, 2021, search and rescue efforts for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells continues. We have now utilized 106 agencies spanning from Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina assisting in these search efforts. Numerous specialized search and rescue groups with numerous canine teams have been represented from each of these agencies. To date, we have covered over 4.6 square miles, with that being over 3,000 acres being searched since Tuesday night when she was reported missing. The rugged mountainous terrain continues to cause problems. This has slowed search operations down in these areas, but please be rest assured, while incurring these conditions, we are still searching with an aggressive approach with extreme attention to detail. These terrains and conditions have exhausted crews both physically and mentally. We are still utilizing local and regional resources, but have had to call upon and utilize resources from Middle and West Tennessee, along with out-of-state resources, to bring a fresh set of eyes and rested bodies into the search operations. Search efforts will continue on a more specialized team basis throughout the rest of the week. Just because you may not see us in such a large presence, once again, rest assured, we are still out here searching for Summer Wells. We will continue to work with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, TBI, and FBI until we find Summer Wells. As mentioned before, as Sheriff here mentioned, please continue to search your personal property. Sullivan County, Hawkins County, mainly the Beech Creek community, and even if you branch a little bit further, please search. And I've been telling these searchers here the last several days, when you're looking for this property, you're not looking for an adult laying there. You're not looking for an adult hiding in the building. We're looking for a 5-year-old girl that weighed approximately 40 pounds. Somebody that size could wad up, could hide in an area that a legal size piece of paper or a folded up laptop could go. This is also the reason why we are exhausting all efforts. This terrain, as you can see behind us, guys, is only a small, very small percentage of what these guys day in and day out are going through. I've had multiple of my guys come up to me and tell me, Captain, I'll go to the end, but I'm tired. I'm physically and I'm mentally tired. We are all one team, and we will not quit until we find Summer Wales. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions.
Have you searched some of these areas over and over again numerous times, some of these fields and things like that?
Absolutely. Captain, can you answer that question?
Yes, so over these 4.6 square miles, and I'll kind of elaborate on some of these specialized teams. There's some of these areas, guys, we have covered 4, 5, and 6 times. And we have community members, media outlets reaching out going, well, we have neighbors saying you're covering the same ground. We are. New ground, same ground, different eyes, fresh bodies. Guys, one flat looking field, there's 100 places something could be hid, evidence, and or she could be hid. So yes, we have covered multiple ground multiple times, and we'll continue to do so.
Captain Coop, I know some award has been talked about. I know your agency, Churchill Rescue Squad, is apparently in charge of that. Can you give us some details on what a reward looks like right now?
Yes, so there has been some people that have reached out to our agency, reached out to TBI and the Sheriff's Department about providing reward money for information leading up to the finding and or recovery of Summer Wales. At this time, I can confirm that is correct and that our agency is working to get this account set up. Once this information is available, our agency will provide a media release with this information on how the general public can also give money for this. But at the same point in time, guys, we're running on limited resources, and we're trying everything we can do that without interfering with the search for Summer Wales.
Leslie, at this point in the search and investigation, do you believe Summer Wales is still alive?
We hope so, but honestly, we just don't know. I mean, we're holding out.
That catches me every time, her face.
A search and investigation.
The question, if you can't hear it, the question is, do you believe that Summer is still alive?
Do you believe Summer Wales is still alive?
She is trying really hard to figure out how to answer that question. She's like you can see it. You can see it in her face.
We hope so, but honestly, we just don't know. I mean, we're holding out hope, doing everything we can. Obviously, we typically would have found a child at this stage in the investigation, so honestly, we just don't know.
How many tips has the TBI received so far?
I don't have the exact number with me, but it's well over 300 at this point.
I know we've all spoken with the family, and they've talked about sort of what led up to that missing incident here. Can you just sort of elaborate on what you guys know for sure happened before she went missing that Tuesday night?
We can't release any more than what we've already provided. We know that she was supposedly with family members outside of her home, was seen going into the home.
Supposedly she was doing this. This happens at 10, we're going to say 10:10.
Can you just sort of elaborate on what you guys know for sure happened before she went missing that Tuesday?
So if you can't hear him very well, the person asking the question, he's saying to elaborate on what happened before she disappeared, leading up to it.
We can't release any more than what we've already provided. We know that she was supposedly with family members outside of her home, was seen going into the home. When her mother went to check on her, she was not in the house.
Sheriff,
Supposedly. Oh, that is so interesting.
I know you mentioned before that.
You know how I was saying, I put a video out, it's been a week and a half probably, if not 2 weeks now, about how the TBI has changed how they're relaying information. And we talked about it the last 2 times we've been here. Let me see if I can pull that up. So on the 16th, the day after Summer goes missing, they come in and they're all she was last seen walking away from her home, last seen outside of her home. They talked about the family reported her missing at 6:30. It was very matter of fact, and there was no. The only thing that they did with regards to reportedly was what she was wearing, and that was it. And then the day after, June 17th, all of a sudden everything backs off and becomes the circumstances remain surrounding her disappearance remain unclear. That time is varied. They were searching for their child themselves. Everybody's a person of interest. And then it just progressed from there up to where we were talking about on June 21st, and they're saying the circumstances leading to her disappearance remain unclear. So they've continually backed off and backed off and backed off. And then we get to this point where they're like, well, supposedly this happened. Obviously, she doesn't believe that. Obviously.
You haven't had to obtain any search warrants. Is that still the case?
My office has not obtained any search warrants, and I really don't know if the other agencies has. I've been coordinating with the captain here and the investigators. They're all working together, and we hadn't briefed each other this afternoon.
What about lie detector tests? Has anybody been given those?
I think she can address this.
Well, it's no secret that the TBI has a polygraph unit. We don't discuss specifics, but I can tell you that we use that as an investigative tool. In a situation like this, we're going to use every resource and tool available to us.
As a reminder about polygraphs, because I say this every time this comes up, and I will say it forever. I think that polygraphs are junk science. They cannot, there's no way, it's impossible to prove that a polygraph is a reliable scientific tool, because the only way that you can prove it to be accurate is to do testing and repeated testing of the same thing. But there's no way to repeat something when every single person is not the same. And you'd have to have many people, like hundreds of people that are identical in every way possible, and every 100 of those would have to go through the exact same event. Every detail would have to be exactly the same. Remember how I talked about my pool of people and my drug trial? See, everything would have to be 100% the same in order to prove that it was reliable, and that you can't. It's impossible. It cannot happen. There's just no way. And when someone calls it a polygraph, it's when they avoid calling it a lie detector, that's more accurate. A polygraph measures changes in your psychophysiological status, your heart rate, your respiratory rate, your skin conductivity, which is like sweating, your blood pressure, that kind of thing. So that's all it's measuring. If something changes in your body, and there's so many ways that somebody can pass that. So you could take medication that will slow your system down, like an anti-anxiety medication, for example. Um, Somebody could intentionally falsify their results in a way. So what they do is they ask you these sort of baseline questions to find your baseline heart rate and breathing and all that stuff. So they'll say, "Is your name whatever?" And then they'll say that they know that you're telling the truth. And then they'll ask you some questions that they know that you're going to lie about. So they'll be like, "Is my pen blue?" And it's actually black. And they'll tell the person, "Okay, I want you to say that my pen is blue," when you're looking at it and you know it's black. And so then they can create a scale from that. But see, one of the problems is a person can rev themselves up, right? They can make their body all excited. And so it will shift the baselines up. And so all of the questions will look as though they're like their body is ramped up. There's no way to distinguish between truth and lie. But on top of that, you can have a problem with the definitions of certain words. So, like, for example, the one I've been using recently, if you were to put Don Wells in a polygraph machine and you were to ask him if he ever neglected Summer, and he said no, he would probably pass because he does not believe that he neglected her. Now, we all know that he did. He admitted that he did, but he doesn't think he did. So if somebody believes something like that, they're going to pass it. It's going to show as a passing score. Then you have the people who are just like Ted Bundy, right? Have the ability they don't have any emotions. And so it's easy to just answer things. The way that their brain works, their body doesn't get all ramped up. So when she's talking about taking this polygraph, it's kind of irrelevant, really, because as I mentioned, if Don is asked certain questions and he doesn't think he did anything wrong, then he's going to pass it. So when he says they passed, they might have passed, but what did they really answer? Their score is little a little less relevant to me, and the questions that they were asked are a lot more relevant to me. I want to know what questions they asked verbatim. That would help me sort of offer a better opinion. It is what it is. All right, let's move on.
There's been billboards seen in Myrtle Beach. Are you guys aware of that? And has the search taken you guys even out of state to some extent?
We follow up on all leads that come in, even if they're out of state. We have received some tips from other states, but they didn't prove to be credible leads. We are aware of the billboards. That's not something the TBI coordinates, but we appreciate the effort.
Leslie, are cadaver dogs being used as part of the canine teams being brought in?
Absolutely, yes.
No law enforcement outside of the house today. Any reason for that?
There's no reason. We have had agents and officers to just touch base with the family on a daily basis. So they were there earlier. The family continues to cooperate at this time. If we have questions, they answer our questions. If we need them to come to the command post to clarify some information, they respond. So they've been very cooperative.
Speaking of the command post, we have noticed some larger FBI presence as well, including like an FBI, I believe it's called a CART team.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just elaborate a little bit on their role in this investigation? What do they do?
They're just another resource available. Now, I would refer you to the FBI for specifics on what that team does, but they specialize in missing children cases. And again, we're using all resources available. They've been here since last weekend, and we were in communication with them before last weekend. So it's just another resource, and we're grateful for any help we can get.
Leslie, now on day 10, do you guys feel like you have more information, better informed than you did on day 1, Tuesday night?
We don't. We still don't know where Summer is. We don't know what.
Back that up. So if you're actually watching the video, you can watch her head moving. She's shaking her head no, and then she shakes her head no and gives the negative answer.
Since last weekend, and we were in communication with them before last weekend. So it's just another resource, and we're grateful for any help we can get.
Leslie, now on day 10, do you guys feel like you have more information, better informed than you did on day 1, Tuesday night?
So the question, if you can't hear it, the question is, do you feel like you have more information than you did at the beginning? Do you feel like you know more than you did?
Another resource, and we're grateful for any help we can get.
Leslie, now on day 10, do you guys feel like you have more information, better informed than you did on day 1, Tuesday?
More information or better informed? She's shaking her before he even. I mean, he's probably like 15% of the way through his question, and she's shaking her head like, nope. More information. It'd help if I could spell. Information.
So it's just another resource, and we're grateful for any help we can get.
Leslie, now on day 10, do you guys feel like you have more information, better informed than you did on day 1, Tuesday night?
We don't. We still don't know where Summer is. We don't know what happened to her, and it's extremely frustrating. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is. The sheriff has worked around the clock. His team's worked around the clock. The search crews, TBI agents, FBI agents, we're doing everything we can to find her. But to not have any more answers than we do at this stage, it's just heartbreaking.
Have you been able to narrow down?
That's pretty. I mean, I think this is the closest that she comes to actually blaming Dawn and Candace. The fact that she's like, no, we don't have any more information, and that they're not better informed than they were on day 1 is something. So after, this would be like the 10th day, after 10 days, they know nothing additional than they did on day 1. Nothing at all. Wait, what says, you think Don Wells Candace has had poly tests prior to, and they are skilled at art? I don't think they've ever had one before. I'm pretty sure not. But if you look at the blue tank top interview, in my opinion, Candace is on something to calm her down. That's my personal opinion. She appears to be on something that's making her sort of numb, neutral. And so if she went in and took a polygraph like that, I'm pretty sure she's going to pass it. Versus like Dawn, I believe if they took one, I believe Dawn passed it because he doesn't think he did anything wrong. That's what I believe. Depends on the questions, but I stand firm on my opinion about that. Yeah, sedated. That's right. I think because she's just like, nah, 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 you know? She looks like it to me. Let me back
We
that
do
up.
at this stage. It's just heartbreaking.
Have you been able to narrow down the timeline any more than
He's asking, have you been able to narrow down the timeline?
which you invested?
Not any more than what we originally released. We know that her family reported her missing. They called the sheriff's office around 6:30. Prior to that, it was early afternoon when she was last seen. And
That is rough. After 10 days, they still don't know. All they have it nailed down to is as afternoon. This happens at like 13 minutes. So after 10 days, Candace hasn't told them anything new, basically.
prior to that, it was early afternoon when she was last seen. And they searched for a little bit and then reported her missing.
How many hours would you say?
I don't have that information.
Question for Captain or Sheriff: what's the biggest obstacle standing in your way? Is it the heat? Is it just the fatigue? Is it the terrain? What do you think is the number one thing that's hurting you guys in this investigation?
To say hurting this investigation on my aspect of things, nothing's hurting us. We encounter difficult situations so far, and we overcome them situations. From here on,
Yeah, huh? That's a lie. There's something major hurting them. The radio signal, the radio communications, which, by the way, I found all my notes on that, just so you know. We might be talking about that again in the future.
out, it is
Yeah,
going to
he's so
be
loud.
providing our team the rest and assurance to make sure that we can provide more and more fresh-bodied, fresh eyes to be able to come in and help search for Summer Wells.
There's the horse. Here comes the horse.
As far as my office, it's been pretty hard because my office don't stop. We're still answering calls, still doing investigations that come in, and we're still running the jail, but I'm alternating the officers out. And like's been said, everyone at the command post been there this week, everyone now is getting mentally and physically and emotionally just drained. And we're going to have to rehab and start back again, but we're not going to stop. We're going to find something.
Is there anything the community can do to help you guys at this point? I know that everyone's been bringing food and water and stuff like that. Is there anything else that you guys need?
Actually, I think they've done everything they possibly could. We've even getting fresh home cooked meals from churches and things brought in, and we have meals for all the officers and searchers and investigators. But enormous outpour of support shown by this community and actually people here in East Tennessee. We're very pleased.
Hey guys, thank you for coming out. I know a couple of you had questions asking why we are not having daily media briefings. The simple answer is we just haven't had any new information to provide. But just because we don't have a briefing doesn't mean that you can't reach out to us and ask any questions you may have. And of course, we are going to continue to post updates on Twitter and the TBI Facebook page. And feel free to check with us if you have any additional questions or need clarification. Thank you. Take care.
Ugh. So I'm going to say that we didn't really learn a lot, but we actually kind of did. This is the most that Leslie has said without saying a lot. The fact that she's like, we don't have any more information. We're not better informed than we were on day one. After all the searching, after all the talking, if it's true that Dawn and Candace passed the polygraph, then that would be something, right? I mean, that would be something. If they had a consistent timeline, that would be something. The shifting to the leading up to, the shifting to she was reported, her mother reported, the avoidance of any kind of commitment, the supposedly that thing. I'm going to pull this in for Birdie, but she's 15 minutes behind. That's okay. This is Tim. This is Tim talking. I know that you guys really hate Tim, and I'm sorry, but this is where he's discussing going out there on the 22nd the night of the roadblock. And I've called him out on this, and every time I do, he changes his story about the pronoun we.
Baseball territory, but part of it is still owned by the Cherokees. So we drove on out to Ben Hill.
Mm-hmm. And it's not the only time he does it. He does that multiple times. I've talked about this so many times, but it's in other videos he says we. And then his explanation is that's just how they talk in that area of the country. That everybody that lives there interchanges the word we for I when they're talking about themselves. No, I'm not going to play this. I just wanted to show that again because Brady was asking.
The Cherokees. So we drove on out to Ben Hill.
We drove on out. We drove on out to Ben Hill. We did it. As a sidebar to that, somebody had asked me many, many months ago, at least a year ago, over a year ago, why sometimes I use the word we when it doesn't seem like it's the right pronoun. And I was like, I got to thinking about it, and now I'm aware of when I do it. And so I have been actually logging it down to figure out why I do that. And it's whenever I'm talking about something that could be accusatory, I'll say, why are we doing that? I'm not a part of it. But apparently I say we to not sound so confrontational. Or it's because I'm trying to understand something that I can't understand, that's impossible for me to understand. So I try to put myself in someone's shoes as a means to understand the understand the not understandable thing. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I had somebody like analyze my statements about it to try to figure out why I was doing that. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. All right. This is June 25. Now, the ones that are coming up are short. They're shorter videos. And then I believe we hit the blue tank top interview. All right, here we go.
We want to point out here that TBI says the Wells family has been very cooperative with investigators throughout their search efforts.
Friends of the family tell us they're doing their best to keep their spirits up on day 9. News Channel 11's Bianca Murray joins us from the Beech Creek community where Summer was reported missing.
Bianca, how do friends say the family's coping with this?
Well, Josh and Sarah, a family church friend says that it's been really difficult, especially on Summer's 3 older brothers, and they're coping with the negativity that's been spreading both online and in person.
Yesterday, took them to the putt-putt golf course here in Kingsport, and just to try to let them have a peaceful day away from the search and rescue teams going on their property and the agents coming up. There was someone who made a comment that wasn't very polite. And
Dotson was called to the Wells property the night Summer went missing.
we definitely wanted to have a church family there with them.
He says the family is having a hard time coping without Summer.
Mom is devastated. Mom does not want to leave the house. She, like, if Summer comes back, if she happens to wander back up, I want to be here. I can't imagine what they're going through.
Hold on a minute.
She, like, if Summer comes back, if she happens to wander back up, I want to be here.
If she happens to wander back up, well, you can only wander back up if you have wandered down. You can only go back up if you've gone down, if you've wandered down. Just pointing that out.
I can't imagine what they're going through, and they're just parents that they want their daughter back, and you have these 3 young boys, and they want their younger sister back.
Dotson says he has a nightly ritual praying for Summer's return.
I set out at night as the sun sets, and I play a song for Summer.
Sorry.
Josh, family friends ask that the community continues to pray for the Wells family and for Summer's safe return and keep the family in their thoughts during these difficult times. Reporting live in Beech Creek, I'm Bianca Murray for News Channel 11.
Right, Bianca, thank you very much. And to all of our crews there tonight, take another look at Summer's photo. This is what matters most. If you see her, call the TBI. Investigators tonight are asking for people to call 1-800-TBI-FIND, or tips can be emailed to tips@tbi.tn.gov. Tonight, the radio.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that they give drug tests. I'm pretty sure that it's probably like a urine test. Now we're gonna kick into the situation with the towers and things, and then this is gonna go on for a couple of videos, and then we're gonna hit the blue tank top interview.
Scanner traffic from emergency dispatchers the night Summer Wells disappeared. Take a listen.
Being around from 110 Ben Hill Road off of Beech Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in, advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Again, audio from police scanner traffic that evening. Dispatchers referenced Summer Wells as a 4-year-old. We now heard that correction the following day that, in fact, she is 5 years old. Saying that they will not quit until she found. Teams continue today to search for 5-year-old Summer Wells, the Hawkins County girl at the center of a Tennessee Amber Alert. 10 days have passed since she was reported missing, and that's where we begin. News Channel 11 at 5 o'clock on this Friday. Thank you for being with us. I'm Josh Smith.
I'm Sarah Diamond. Now, authorities did not hold a news briefing today in the case. They said previously there will not be daily briefings when there are no new developments. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation posted on social media the agency has received 394 tips since family members reported Summer missing the evening of June 15th. She has blonde hair, blue eyes, and is about 3 feet tall.
In the 10 days since she was reported missing, search teams from over 100 agencies, teams from 6 states have spent endless hours searching for the missing 5-year-old. And they've covered, they say, over 3,000 acres in the area near her home on Ben Hill Road in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County, where she was last seen. And that's where Bianca Murray joins us live tonight. She's near the Search Command Center.
Bianca, you spoke with Summer's mother and grandmother today. What did they tell you?
Josh and Sarah, I took a trip down to Ben Hill Road this afternoon.
Let me get you the date on this. This is the 25th of June.
With a friend of the Wells family. Now that's where the Wells family lives. I met Summer's mom and grandmother, neither of whom felt up to doing an on-camera interview, but they spoke to me about how much they miss Summer.
They didn't feel up to giving an on-camera interview. Okay. So, Grandma and Mom can't be bothered to be on camera, even though it's been 10 days and the TBI has come out and said, we don't know anything. They can't be bothered.
In a statement, Summer's mom, Candace Wells, told me she knows Summer would never leave her home alone. Summer's grandmother, Candace Hera, told me in a statement, quote, "Bring my grandbaby home. She is a lovely baby and we're so thankful for everyone looking for her. We yelled and looked for her as much as we could. She was just gone. It's devastating."
So we yelled and looked for her as much as we could that night. As much as we could that night. She's just gone.
The Wells family told me today that they don't want to go on camera because they don't want to give any more reason for people on social media to spew negativity at them.
You know what? Who said that? Peter Hyatt. Peter Hyatt said, was that the last time we were here? That if your child is missing, you really should have no concern whatsoever about what other people think about you. That your primary and only concern should be about your missing child, and that if people are talking about you, like online or whatever, that you're just supposed to be like, whatever. Let them talk about me. I don't care. My child is more important than me. And I agree. I think that saying we don't want to come on TV because we don't want more people talking bad about us, to me, what that is them picking themselves over her. Like, our reputation is more important than speaking out for our missing child. That's how I would interpret it. That protecting themselves is more important than helping their missing child. That's and if you disagree, that's fine, but that's how I interpret it. Karma says if Summer's case goes cold, can we FOIA everything? No. There's nothing that they could give us. There's like no court case that we know of going on. There's just the investigation, and they don't want to release anything because it could interfere with that. I don't know what they actually could give. I don't think anything other than what was on the news. Yeah, like Brandy.
We could. She was just gone. It's devastating. The Wells family told me today that they don't want to go on camera because they don't want to give any more reason for people on social media to spew negativity at them. And they tell me that they are getting quite a bit of negativity right now. Tonight at 6, you will hear from a family friend who is begging for compassion for the family at this point. Live in Beech Creek, I'm Bianca Marais for News Channel 11.
We are just a minute. I'm gonna try to see if I can find really fast the videos. KLAAS. From Mark Class. See if this is it. There we go. All right, let's put this in. Just as a reminder. I'm gonna get out of the way.
First of all, this whole idea of not talking to the press when your child is missing really is a failed concept from a time in the past when victims, parents of missing children were supposed to sit by the phone and wait for the ransom call to come in. That doesn't happen. There is no better advocate for a missing child than that child's parent. There is no better advocate for a missing child than that child's parent. There is no better advocate for a missing child than that child's parent. There is no better advocate for a missing child than that child's parent. To start contacting media assignment desks. Not that they're going to move on your suggestion that your child is missing, but so that they know that there's a parent there willing to go on camera and talk about that missing child should they get a report from law enforcement. There's a parent there willing to go on camera and talk about that missing child. There's a parent there willing.
So what parent is willing to go on camera and talk about their child? It's you say it in the last one? It's his words were something like it's pitiful and short-sighted. The parents who don't go on camera and plead for their missing child, that's pitiful and short-sighted. That's what he says. All right. Let's get back to this. Here we go.
Following a breaking news alert tonight, it's been 11 days since Summer Wells was last seen at her home in East Tennessee. Tonight, we are hearing from her grandmother and mother for the first time. Eric Egan is at the WKRN.com alert desk with new information. Eric?
Thanks, Bob. Candace Bly, Summer's mom, and Candace Harrer, Summer's grandmother, released a statement to our sister station, WJHL, today. So her grandmother said here, quote, "Bring my grandbaby home. She is a lovely baby, and we're so thankful for everyone looking for her. We yelled and looked for her as much as we could. She's just gone. It's devastating." Meantime, Candace Bly, Summer's mom, simply said in her statement, quote, "I know she would never wander off this hill alone." Dozens of search crews now have methodically been checking every building, body of water, and forest for the missing 5-year-old child. We also learned 12 members of the Metro Police Urban Search and Rescue Team arrived this morning in Hawkins County to join in on that search. Bob, back to you.
Josh and Sarah, several of our colleagues have spoken with Summer's mother off camera. She's even provided videos and photos of her daughter. But tonight, for the first time, she shares her account of what happened the night her daughter went missing and, like her husband, that she believes her 5-year-old girl was taken.
We really miss her very much. She was the angel, our blessing, the love of our life.
You can't tell me that she's not sedated.
She's what made our world go around.
It's been 13 days since Candace Bly and Donald Wells last saw their 5-year-old daughter, Summer.
I'm just scared that somebody's hurting her, and there's nothing I can do about it, and it smothers me.
That's a lie. There's a whole lot that she could do about it. She could be all over the news. She should have been all over the news. That's one thing that she could have done for free. It's not like she had anything else to do. I mean, really, what else was she busy with?
As the almost 2-week-long search through the rough terrain scales back, Summer's parents say they believe someone took their daughter.
Personally, I think someone came up here and grabbed her and ran down the hill.
I think so
and
too.
threw her in a car and drove as far away as they could from this area.
I know she didn't walk away from this property by herself or off this yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here.
Around 6:30 in the evening on June 15th, her father called to report her missing, but he wasn't home yet from work.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma.
I can't. And that loud enough for you guys?
Report her missing, but he wasn't home yet from work.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay, and I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back. And within 2 minutes I came back, and I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
Summer has 3 older brothers.
When they get out of line, she'd put them in line.
Her parents say she loves princesses, especially the movie Frozen, and to be outside.
She loves to dance. She would always want me. She says, "Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl." And she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl until my arm got tired.
She'd love to play in the mud and the water and swing on her swing and enjoy dirt.
Now, authorities are looking for the driver of a red Toyota Tacoma.
Hi, Mama Bear. So, just to elaborate again on this polysyndeton thing. So, what it is I'm going to read for you. The deliberate use of many conjunctions like and, but, or in close succession, often more than is grammatically necessary. In literature, it creates rhythm or emphasis, but in statement analysis, especially in real world contexts like interviews, 911 calls, or suspect statements, it can point to several psychological undercurrents. And then it gives me some examples. Number 1, suggests memorized or scripted language. When someone uses and then this, and then that, and then we, it can sound rehearsed, like they're walking through a memorized sequence rather than naturally recalling events. This is often a red flag, especially if the speaker is trying to control the narrative. Why? Because real memory doesn't usually flow in rigid, linear steps. It jumps, pauses, corrects, revisits. A story that sounds too smooth or too listy, like making a list, might not be rooted in lived experience. Number 2, attempts to overwhelm or distract. A long chain of events joined by and can be used to bury a critical moment in noise. The speaker may be trying to create a flurry of small details so the listener won't zero in on a specific suspicious part. We planted flowers and washed our hands, and she got candy, and we watched TV, and then she wanted to go play, and then this could be an attempt to control the focus or to rush past something important. Number 3, lack of prioritization or lack of emotional anchoring. In genuine recollections, People tend to pause on moments that mattered. If a mother is describing the last time she saw her child, you'd expect emotional pauses, sensory details, or hesitations. A wall of ands can signal emotional detachment or intentional flattening of the story. Number 4, maybe a sign of anxiety or pressure. Sometimes polysyndeton isn't deceptive. It's just reflective of a highly anxious speaker trying to hold it all together. They may be over-explaining, hoping to sound cooperative or thorough. This is where context and tone mattered. Is the person speaking panicked or breathless, or are they calm and robotic? Number 5, used to imply completeness. Using many ands can be a way of saying, look, I've told you everything. See how much I gave you? But ironically, in statement analysis, that often triggers the opposite suspicion. If you're trying so hard to make it feel complete, what are you avoiding? So then it sort of gives this sort of summation of what we just talked about. Polysyndeton in a statement might mean the speaker is rehearsing or scripting, distracting or burying key info, skipping over conflict or other important events, trying to appear helpful, or simply overwhelmed and rambling. It's not automatically deceptive, but in the context of missing persons, alibis, or trauma retellings, it's definitely worth noticing, especially when combined with shifts in tense, changes in pronouns, or passive language. It is what it is. And. We'll come back to this in a minute.
That was in the area around the time Summer went missing, and stressing that this person is a potential witness.
I've never seen this truck, and I've never heard of it until just recently. But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. And if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen.
No one has been named a suspect, and authorities have not ruled Summer's disappearance as an abduction. But tonight, her parents have one plea.
Please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go and where we can get her back.
Please bring her back home.
Just let her come home, please.
We miss her so much. Her brothers are so devastated that they wake up every morning crying for their sister.
That's weird.
And as a mother, it really...
That's weird. Because when we started talking today and I was reading that newspaper article, you guys remember that? Dawn saying that that her brothers just seemed perfectly fine and how shocked he was at that. Let's see if I can locate that to get the exact words for you. The question was, how are your 3 sons doing? And Dawn says, they're coping with it okay. I don't know why, but they're dealing with it okay. They're a lot better than me and Candace are. That's what Dawn says. That's what Dawn says. So this whole thing, I don't know. I don't know about that. It can't both be true. They're either devastated and unable to sleep and crying and everything is just wrong with the world, or they're doing okay and they don't seem to be bothered. They can't both happen. It's got to be one or the other. So either Dawn is lying or Candace is lying.
Go and where we can get her back.
Please bring her back home.
Just let her come home, please.
We miss her so much. Her brothers are so devastated that they wake up every morning crying for their sister. And as a mother, it really hurts to see your other children crying.
Well, that's strange. That whole time that hi Outdoorsy Life, hi Mars, this whole time that she tells the story about when Summer goes missing, allegedly, supposedly, she's just very flat. There's just no emotion on her face at all. It's just this and this and this and this and that and this and that. The end. But she's talking about the boys, right? And she seems as though she's about to cry. You see that? Her expression in her face? See this? I'm not saying that she's going to cry about that, but there's more emotion in that. There is more emotion in this moment than there is the whole time she's talking about the last time she saw her missing child. You get what I'm saying?
That they wake up every morning crying for their sister. And as a mother, it really hurts to see your other children crying.
See what I mean?
Well, for the last few days, we have referred to Candace's mother as Candace Wells because that's what she went by on Facebook. But tonight she told me that her name is Candace Bly. And
Okay, let's hit it up.
A lot.
I know that it says that it's the full interview, but it's not because they cut and chop it and stuff. I wish that we could hear the questions that were given. So if you're just coming in and you weren't here at the beginning, what I was talking about is the way that Candace is telling the story. And it's how it's this and this and this and that and this and this and that and the end. You can't unhear it. You can't unhear that. And the word on the screen, polysyndeton, that's what that means when somebody is repeatedly using the word and like that.
A lot. I know she didn't walk away from this property by herself or off this yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here. Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
The end. The end. This is Sarah. This is the same day. It's just the news piece only had like some of the sections of them talking, and then they released a subsequent video that they are saying is the whole interview, but it's very much not because it's you can tell it's cut into pieces. Hey, Cisco, isn't that very interesting about that Brooks thing where he's like, and then like the order is messed up. Anyway, we'll talk about that on another day. But do you see what I'm saying about all the ands in there? God, that drives me crazy. And we did the candy, and we did the flowers, and we washed our hands, and I watched her walk into the house, and I said, I'll be right back. And I came back home, and right after 2 minutes, I came back and asked the boys where her sister was, and they said she was downstairs, and I went downstairs, and she was just gone. That's what that is. That's what that is. And what I just got done reading to you guys, that's what it's telling me. I don't believe that she appears panicked to me. I don't believe she's overly anxious or under pressure or overwhelmed. She doesn't look like any of those things to me. Should we do it one more time and then we'll move on? And.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone. I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes and even the coyotes that are around here. Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
Just go to the FBI, the police, and clear it up. I mean, I don't know. It seems kind of elusive.
It's really strange that I've never seen this truck, and I've never heard of it until just recently.
Now, the other day, this was okay. When was this? Within the past 30 days. Okay, within the past 30 days, I heard Chris McDonough say that the red truck was like they talked to the person that drove the truck and that person was cleared and everything. Like the whole red truck thing is done. I heard Chris McDonough say it on a live stream. I couldn't tell you which one. I made like a little note in my head, like, oh, okay. But I couldn't find anywhere that actually said that other than him. She was just gone. The end. The end.
But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. And if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen. She was a tomboy. I shaved my head. She wanted to have her head shaved like me.
Wait, Sarah says Don Wells supposedly gave the tip about the red truck? That would mean that Don was in the area on the 15th. You can't see a red truck around the time she disappears and be somewhere else at work at the same time. Unless you have this magical ability to, I'm telling you, either this is all just fabricated and put together with horrible like school glue, like Elmer's school glue for like first graders, or Dawn and Candace can bend space and time. I mean, there's no other explanation other than that they can manipulate space and time to make things happen, like they have some kind of teleportation thing or whatever. I mean, how else is that supposed to happen? Chris McDonough said Dawn. Yeah, that's interesting.
And the boys did.
She tried to shave her head
She tried
in
to
the
shave her
back
head
and make
herself.
it, I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control. So we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad, and but it didn't bother her at this point. Well, I knew right away that she was abducted.
Wondering Heart says maybe Dawn isn't there in the mornings to see. Sleeping in was mentioned. He said on an interview with Chris McDonough, boy, this is in the back of my brain. He said that, I think the question was, tell me about the last time you saw Summer. And Dawn was relaying that it was in the morning when he was getting up to go to work, and how he got up and he was ready and he was out of the house before Summer was awake. Something like that. But then he's supposed to be at work all day until he gets this call from Candace, because he also says how he gets done with work and he hangs around and talks to some people that he works with and stuff. And then he gets this call and he rushes home and he makes it home in like 20 minutes. Something like that.
You know, I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, I forget the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But I'm sorry that they had to.
Yeah. Hunter said the boys were supposedly with Don Wells, but then Don Wells called and said something about, okay, right? That was when the phone call, when they were in the Walgreens drive-thru to pick up the prescription. Isn't that when that phone call happened? Like they were waiting in line to pick up the prescription for Grandma, and Dawn calls and Candace is like, shh, 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 like telling everybody in the car to be quiet. Something like that.
Spend so many man hours in these woods and everything. I've seen them limping and everything else, and I feel for them. But I just wish there was a way that neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house, in the eastern United States or whatever.
Yeah. Cisco says, seems to me that the children were unattended too often. Summer shaved her own head. Right? When my son was younger, basically from when he was like kindergarten age all the way until he wouldn't let me anymore, like mid-teens, I shaved his head, not like to the scalp, but we used like a number two guard. And it's not like that happens in like 1 minute. I mean, it takes some time to get that done. Plus the sound of the clippers. I can't believe that they're in the house the kids are in the house, and one of the parents would also be in the house and not notice that this was going on. I mean, Don makes it sound like this is something that happened multiple times. Like, I mean, just like the whole they left her outside and they did it over and over and over and they were always leaving her outside and like blamed the boys and stuff. Because it seems like it's always the boys' fault for everything. And he kind of, you know, he kind of sort of did that again here. The boys shaved their heads, and so now she wanted to do it. Just like the boys left her outside over and over and over and over and over.
But I wish there was a way. Just thankful for the person or persons that's doing that, you know, out of love, trying to get information and trying to get her found. We thank them from the bottom of our hearts.
You're welcome.
And we thank everybody who's trying so hard and praying so hard. And
You're welcome. I think that I know that and I'm pretty sure that all of you that are in here are doing this and talking about this because we care about Summer. And we're trying really hard to figure out something because we want to know. I think that that would include us. So basically, they're saying thank you to us. You're welcome. I'm sorry that, no, I'm not sorry that you guys are the focus, but it is what it is.
she's an awesome young lady, and we just want her back. But, yeah, there's always going to be haters, you know, and it's always going to be that way in this world, and we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. And that's the kind of people we try to relate with and socialize with. So we don't know anything about, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. I mean, because we
That's
just
not
try
true.
to be around good people.
That's not true. That they don't know any of their neighbors. That's a lie. Obviously. And he basically just, in a roundabout, passive aggressive way, just said all of his neighbors are bad people. See that?
But we don't know anything about, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. I mean, because we just try to be around good people. I mean,
Because we just try to be around good people. So we don't know the neighbors, which sort of implies that they're not good people. The only way that you would know if your neighbors were not good people is if you knew them. Hi, Sandy. You know what I mean? You can't know that somebody's a bad person unless you've talked to them.
and we do have good people in this area. We found out since this has all happened. We got some real good neighbors and good folks everywhere. But
the most important thing is to bring Summer home.
Just because somebody labels themselves a Christian does not mean that they're good people. It's just not. That's just not the case. And people that don't label themselves as Christians, that doesn't mean they're bad people. That's just not the religion and faith they identify with. Doesn't mean that they're bad. There are bad people that are Christians, and there are good people who are not.
Safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. We've never went without, thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. He's always provided for us and has worked as much as he could and can and still is. And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around. Ever.
Treat her like what? I know that this has been talked about so many times by statement analysis people, but I want to know what it is that she's being treated like. Because the way that Candace is talking is like nobody would treat her badly if I was around, but see, the thing is that she was treated badly while Candace was around. She was left outside by herself while Candace was around. She was neglected while Candace was around. Repeatedly, ongoing.
she loves to dance. She would always want me. She says, "Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl," and she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl till my arm got tired, But I put out there that one of Summer's favorite songs was Godzilla, and they say, and they're jumping all over me about past tense was, well, I'm sorry about that. It's just,
She also liked the song by New Breed. It was called House, My House.
Have you guys ever seen the video for that? The Welcome to My House video? The first time I watched it, I was like, you're letting a 5-year-old go down this route? I mean, dang. I'm not a super, super duper strict mom, but I would never let my 5-year-old watch that.
She sung that a lot of times when I play it on the TV. She loved to dance.
she liked to think of herself as a princess, and and all that, like all young girls do. And
she loved Frozen. She loved to be that Elsa, and
I think she really loved to be in church because she felt a lot of love there. And I think you can't explain what that love is, but you feel it and you know it, when you're young. And she felt that there, and she loved everybody in that church, or she loves everybody in that church. I should rephrase that because they'll tear that apart as past tense, and I apologize again for that. I hope she gets to come home, and I hope she gets to be with our church family again.
Her best friend in that church was Robin. She loved her to death.
Yeah, she looked up to
when
women that were.
She come to that church, she went looking for Robin. That was her favorite person.
Any woman that was professional, that
was pretty, beautiful.
She looked up to those kind of women. She, they were the word I'm looking for, I can't think of it.
But here's the thing. This is just my personal opinion, okay? This is not based in like a statement analysis thing. But my personal opinion as a parent is that your child, the person that you hope your child is looking up to is you. I would be devastated if my daughter was looking up to some other person and not looking up to me. That's just my personal opinion on that. I know that they use past tense a lot. How it goes is it doesn't necessarily mean it can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they know that she's not coming back. It can also mean that they feel as though that she won't be. So could they know that for sure she's not coming back? Yeah. That's why they're doing past tense. But it also could be, and I'm just in all fairness, because we have to be fair, in all fairness, it can also be because they believe that she's not coming back. And so they're talking past tense because they've given into that thought. Just throwing that out there.
She looked up to him. She'd give him a run for their money every day. She'd give him a run for their money. And there was times, we'd be, at our boys, like, don't do this and don't do that. And next thing you know, the stick would come up and just whop them, and it'd be like, Summer, don't do that.
Summer was the boss of the family.
She typical girl.
When they get out of line, she'd put them in line.
She'd do her best.
She loved to play in the mud and the water and swing on her swing and enjoy dirt.
When I run the lawnmower around, she would run behind me. When the boys run their bikes around, she, as fast as that little bike could go, she would be behind them running and keeping up with them, no problem. She loved to run. She just loved to run.
Birdie says that the excessive and then parts is the same time frame when Don Wells said in a separate interview, all of a sudden Summer wanted to go play downstairs. All of a sudden is super duper important in statement analysis. I was just actually looking at that the other day. It's in relation to the passing of time. So Let me see if I can find where this says. Okay, so here are a list of you guys can't see this because I'm reading out of my book, my textbook. Here's a list of some words and phrases that indicate the subject has skipped over something in their statement. Then, after, later, later on, afterwards, shortly thereafter, a short time later, the next thing I know, the next thing I remember. Then it goes on to say, deceptive people like to quicken the pace and get past those areas that they don't want to talk about. They will sometimes do this by using words and phrases that span time. Back her up here. See if I can find an example that they have in here. So there, one of the examples in this textbook that I have is about Jodi Arias, who I hope that everybody knows who she is. In her interview that she gave with 48 Hours, she says, "quote I heard a really loud pop, and the next thing I remember, I was laying next to the bathtub, and Travis was screaming." I'm going to repeat that. I heard a really loud pop, and the next thing I remember, I was laying next to the bathtub, and Travis was screaming. Her statement, "the next thing I can remember," indicates she skipped over something in her story. She did not say she blacked out and therefore could not remember. She purposefully withheld information. She would later change her story and admit that she killed Alexander, but in self-defense. This is why she was skipping over things in her deceptive story. Saying "the next thing I remember" allows her to tell less of a lie, and it minimizes what she has to remember. By backing her up in the story in an effort to find out what happened, what information she has withheld, you would most likely get a sense that she is lying about what happened that day. Does that make sense? No. Jodi Arias killed her boyfriend, Travis Alexander, and she took pictures of on her camera, and then she tried to put it in the washing machine, but the detectives found the camera, and you know who that, yeah. So this passing of time, that's important in the passing of time. So when you hear somebody saying that, so for example, we drove to the store and got some beer. Later on, we went to Ray's house. Later on means the subject has skipped over something that happened. The missing information may or may not be important, but there's something that has been skipped over. That makes sense? I wish I could show you, but it's all. I suppose I could probably type it up, but that's that. All right, here we go.
She could pull herself up on that swing, her full body weight with her two hands, and she could do that. None of the other boys can do that, but she can.
Was she in school yet?
No, she's going this year.
This was supposed to be her first year.
She's been. We did all the what?
I took care of everything.
Yeah.
I had her already taken all of her shots and registered in the school for ready for this year.
Yeah. I just never expected for anyone to get a hold of my heart like she has, because I try to guard my heart as much as I can, but she holds my heart in her little hands, and I love her with all my heart. I'd do anything to have her back.
Your little girl.
If there's any way, if you can find it in your heart, to please release her somehow. I don't know how you might do that. I mean, you're probably scared of going to prison for the rest of your life and everything else, I'm sure. But please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go, and where we can get her back. And just please have mercy on her, and and us, and her brothers. And she's such a loving, good spirit. Please don't hurt her. Please let her come home. That she's my biggest fear.
Oh, this part coming up. I have an opinion about this. Cisco says, was school sign up and shots actually true? I believe that I want to say that Cam and Allie had proof that that was done, and that the only way that that they could get her signed up was to take her to the dentist, and you know, because you need the immunization record and the dental stuff to go to school. That's how I know about it, is from what Cam and Allie said before they are where they are now, back when they were doing this stuff. Now, I have an opinion about what he's going to talk about here, and I go a certain way, but I'm kind of biased. But he's going to be talking about what he thinks that Summer is going through at the moment. Dental records, yeah.
Her come home. That she's my biggest fear is, you know, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her, you know, her downfall.
So he says that his biggest worry or concern is that she's locked in a dungeon or a basement, and she's being tormented. But when he goes on and he elaborates what he's talking about, is that she's just not able to go outside. As this plays on, you'll see what I'm saying. And it's like, if you're being tormented and you're being locked in a basement or a dungeon, I don't think that your primary concern is that you're not getting to play outside. I think your primary concern is, I'm locked in a basement, I'm being tormented. It's not that you're not being able to go outside, it's that someone is inflicting harm on you. So I'm going to play this and you'll see what I mean.
That she's my biggest fear is, you know, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her, you know, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? You know, go get Summer now." You know.
I'm going to back this up just a minute. God, I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen this. Look, he changes his tenses. He goes from a present tense to a past tense. Something because she loves, and then he changes it to she loved to be outside. Ready?
Is, you know, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her,
See that?
unfortunately, her.
Like, he was speaking in present tense and then he changed himself to past tense. Why would you do that?
A dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to.
See? Did you see that? You guys hear that, right?
A dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to be outside
Yeah.
all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her, you know, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? You know, go get Summer now." You know, and that's happened over and over
And
again.
over and over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. Dear me.
And we'd come out and she would always be close by, but we was always coming up. She had to be outside. She was an outdoor person. And
she loved to be outside.
Yep. And I'm so afraid that she's locked away. She's such a loving heart and everything. And I'm afraid that she won't be able to, you know, I'm locked away where she can't be outside or.
See? You see what I'm saying? He's thinking about her being locked away, right? But his concern is that she's not able to go outside. That is her primary infliction, that she's not able to go outside. But that's not, if someone is locked away, then their concern is not that they can't go outside. It's maybe they're not eating, maybe they're having pain inflicted on them, something else. Hi, cats. Hodgepodgery.
Play with a puppy or anything, love nature, you know, and that's my greatest fear, that she's not able to do any of these things anymore.
I'm going to back up and write this down. Where did that happen at? Right there.
She loved in a dungeon or basement or something because she loves.
So this is at 10 minutes. She loves, and then he's like, nope. She loved.
Loved to be out dungeon or basement or something because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her, her downfall. 'Cause a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? Go get Summer now, and that's how.
The state of Tennessee says, although this is not illegal, it says, obviously. That's what the website says. Obviously. Let me look here and see if I can get it verbatim. According to the Tennessee Administrative Office of the Courts, the Tennessee Courts website, it says, obviously, young children under age 10 should not be left without supervision at any time. That's verbatim. Obviously, young children under age 10 should not be left without supervision at any time. That's from the Tennessee court website.
Over and over again. And we'd come out and she would always be close by, but we was always coming up. She had to be outside. She was an outdoor person. And
she loved to be outside.
And I'm so afraid that she's locked away. She's such a loving heart and everything. And I'm afraid that she won't be able to, locked away where she can't be outside or play with a puppy or anything, love nature,
I know him blaming the boys. Lowing says, quit blaming Sever's brothers, Don. It only makes you look worse, by the way. I agree. It feels like every chance he gets to do that, he does that. It's their fault about the shaving of the head. It's their fault that she was left outside. It's their fault that her downfall was being left alone outside. It's all their fault. No wonder they got taken away.
And that's my greatest fear, that she's not able to do any of these things anymore, or that she could possibly, I don't want to think she's dead, but it's a possibility. I don't want to address all the negativity. I just want to focus on the positive, because it's so easy to get, lost in that negativity and stuff, and it's just not worth it. So I'm just, I appreciate y'all, the good things you say, and your prayers. That's awesome.
When my sister came missing, I was in between Arkansas and Tennessee. I don't know all of what happened or what did happen, but I hope that they find her too and bring her home safely too.
Yeah, there's nothing. She disappeared without a trace. They haven't found anything, haven't found a body, nothing. And when you see cases like that, that's why I lose hope on Summer. I want to keep hope, but sometimes I lose hope.
Lose it.
And I think, well, maybe we won't never see her again, so I start thinking in past tense. Sorry. But I'm trying to keep hope up. I'm trying to keep my prayers up and all that.
Mark, thank you. New details tonight of the search for 5-year-old.
Okay. There's that. Now we're on to the 29th of June. There's a whole, since the press conferences, the media briefings, hi Janice, are all over for this moment in time. It's just a bunch of short videos that are like 1 to 3 minutes long or something. So we'll just let them go through here for a little while.
Summer Wells. Incident Commander Tim Coop says the command center at Mount Carmel Baptist Church has been demobilized and that multiple local search crews and outside resources are on standby now.
Tonight marks 2 weeks since Summer's parents say she was last seen at their home in Hawkins County. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says they have received 650 tips in the search for 5-year-old Summer. TBI tweeted this afternoon urging the public to only share information from credible sources, adding, quote, sharing speculation or rumors only makes the process more difficult for law enforcement by increasing the number of non-credible tips, end quote.
News Channel 11's Bianca Murray joins us live. Bianca, we got to speak with both of Summer's parents. What did they say about the toll her disappearance is having on their family?
Well, Josh and Sarah, we spoke with the Summers parents yesterday, and they said that she is an absolute force of nature in their home. But now that she's missing, they say it's like every member of their family has lost a little bit of their heart.
Her brothers are so devastated that they wake up every morning crying for their sister. And as a mother, it really hurts to see your other children crying.
Summer's parents say her brothers are having a hard time coping with their sister disappearing. 12-year-old Josie, 11-year-old Wyatt, and 9-year-old Waylon.
And he misses his sister so much because he played with her all the time.
Summer's mom, Candace, says she's been receiving hateful messages on social media, most of which, she says, calls her a bad mom.
And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her.
This picture right here of her at the dentist, this is supposed to be like one of the steps for her to get into school. That was my understanding. There's like another photo, I think, of her like actually sitting in the dentist chair. I don't think that, okay, I know that there are people that are calling her a bad mother. I know that. But at the same time, I am not calling her a bad mother. What I am saying is that she made terrible choices about raising her child, like horrible choices, and that that perhaps her inattentiveness could have contributed to where we are right now. That's as far as I take it. I don't say she's a horrible mom. She's made bad choices. She's done bad things that aren't the best for any of her children.
Her like that as long as I was around, ever.
Summer's mom says she's fearing the worst.
I'm just scared that somebody's hurting her, and there's nothing I can do about it, and it smothers me.
Summer's dad says he fears her being locked up indoors somewhere because he says she loves to be outside.
She loved to be outside all the time, and that was her, unfortunately, her downfall. 'Cause a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? Go get Summer now, and that's happened over and over again. And I'm so afraid that she's locked away.
Josh and Sarah, the family, tell us that they think Summer was abducted. However, the TBI says the circumstances of Summer's disappearance remains unclear. And though this command center has been demobilized, search crews say they are still following up on every tip. Reporting live in the Beech Creek community, Bianca Murray, News.
Yes, Cisco says law enforcement want cause or not. Determining credibility of calls is part of the process for law enforcement. I've said that, which you know, from the beginning, is that okay? It's a pretty known fact, well-known fact, that most people don't want to embarrass themselves, and most people will go out of their way to avoid embarrassing themselves, especially in a social public situation. And so if you're sitting at home, let's say you're watching YouTube, and let's say that you come across a video and this person is describing Summer's disappearance as if though they know something, right? Okay. And the person is like, well, okay, let's say it's you. Let's say you're sitting home watching YouTube and you stumble upon a video or a live stream and someone is saying the things that happened to Summer after she went missing. And it seems like you get that feeling, right? You get that feeling like, oh my God, this is a little not okay. This is a little uncomfortable. A normal person an average person sitting at home would be like, I don't know if I should call because this is social media. I'm on YouTube and law enforcement said don't call if you see something on YouTube. But I feel like there's something relevant here and I'm worried and I'm concerned because I'm worried that this might be something. But then again, what if it's not? And what if they get mad at me? And what if I'm in trouble because I called about something on social media? So there's like this battle in your brain. Like, what do you do? Because you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to be embarrassed. And so most people, not everybody, but most people won't bother calling because they don't want to be chastised or punished or anything like that. I have to tell you this story that kind of. So a while back, well over a year ago, year and a half ago, I was having a problem going to sleep, and I was just surfing around YouTube, just looking for live streams that were on in the middle of the night because I had nothing else to do. And I stumbled upon this live stream of this guy, and he was in Las Vegas, and he was wandering down the strip, and he went into this one casino, and he starts talking about how he has a weapon, okay, and in his backpack. And there was something wrong with this guy. He was like sweating like profusely, and um, he was wandering around in this casino doing a live stream talking about this weapon that he had. And so I'm watching it, but like 5-10 minutes into it. And basically, what the gist of it was he was looking for someone, some other person who was live streaming on YouTube. He was trying to figure out where they were in Las Vegas, at what casino, because he wanted to go find this guy with his weapon. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what do I do? I'm sitting here and I'm in Michigan and he's over in like, Las Vegas. What do I do? And I'm like, and so I actually did end up calling law enforcement in Las Vegas to be like, this is what's going on. Like, there's this guy and here's the YouTube stream. And so the police did go and actually, like, on the live stream, did show up, and they went through his stuff and they found a weapon, and the whole thing was like live streaming. And so, but before I called, I sat there. I sat there for a while, depending, like, debating what do I do here, because and my first thought was, oh my gosh, like TBI Leslie would be like yelling at me. Ronnie would be like, don't call on social media. But what was I going to do? What, I mean, but it's kind of like that whole event that happened brings me back to my belief about this, where if you see something and you feel like it's not right, but yet you're shunned away from calling, how many people might have information or might have seen something online but didn't bother to call because they didn't want to get yelled at? But then again, there are people who would submit tips and things. Just as a reminder, you could submit tips through email. I'm just putting it out there. I think that I get their point. I understand why they're saying don't, call us with speculation. I get that. But what if what if somebody stumbles upon a video? What if? How are you supposed to know sitting at home looking at a screen? How are you supposed to know? Isn't that their job? Isn't it law enforcement's job to figure it out, not yours? You're just someone that's sitting there watching something on social media. Isn't it their job to decide if it's credible or not? Why would they leave it up to a random person to decide, well, this must be credible? I know, it was scary. I was like really freaked out about the whole thing. Wandering Heart says, could the dentist then checkup be a requirement? I wondered about that too. Hi, Twister. Be a requirement because of if CPS had an open case. It could be. I mean, we've seen her teeth, and her teeth were neglected, obviously. But at the same time, I mean, she still would have had to have that done to get into school. So, I mean, either way, whether it was a requirement for school or it was because of CPS, either way, it was a required event, one way or the other. Lu says, that's why junk channels are so annoying that spread bad info and bad tips. I know. I hate that. You have one person in a live stream say something, and then it's like wildfire. You know what I mean? It spreads around, and everybody thinks it's true, and it's really not true. All right, this is the end of this one.
The Tennessee.
I included this one in here, but I'm not really sure if we want to go with it. It's from July 8 of 2021. It's it's an investigator not involved with this that has something to say.
Bureau of Investigation provided its first update in a week in the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells.
That's right. The TBI said they have now about 870 tips received, and today they confirmed the investigation is still active and ongoing. They're looking, we believe, for the driver of a red or maroon Toyota Tacoma pickup truck that was seen in the area of Ben Hill Road the afternoon Summer went missing. TBI said that person's a potential witness as they continue their investigation.
Amy Cockrum has been following the latest on Summer's disappearance and talked with a former investigator about Summer's case.
Josh and Sarah, earlier today I sat down with Deb Richmond. She's a former investigator for the Bristol, Tennessee Police Department. She's dealt with child abuse and sexual abuse cases in her time as an investigator. She says that in a missing child case like this one, odds of finding Summer safe shift as time passes.
As each day passes, it is more alarming that she may not come home safely, but there have been children found.
After almost 30 years as an investigator, Deb Richmond now works for the Branch House, a resource for victims of abuse crimes. Even though she's not an investigator anymore, Richmond has been following the Summer Wells case closely.
If they're not letting information out to the public, it may be, and I'm just saying this from experience, it may be because they have some good leads that they can't afford to for the public to be involved in.
Richmond says she's investigated many abduction cases where children were taken by family members, but she says stranger abductions are rare.
The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is a great help.
Amber Alert is one tool, as I mentioned, in those very critical cases. It's used, alerts are issued about 200 times a year, but as I said, the National Center sees reporting of children up to 30,000 cases a year.
There's no doubt in my mind that they are working night and day and thinking of all kinds of different ways to get this solved and to bring her home safely.
Richmond tells me from her experience, she knows that the investigators on Summer's case right now are experiencing many sleepless nights as they work tirelessly to bring her home. Sarah?
Amy, thanks. TBI.
I know Dawn says, when Dawn says that Summer's downfall was being outside, I disagree. I think that Summer's downfall was being outside unsupervised. That's what her downfall was that the adults in her life were not supervising her properly. That's my opinion, not based in fact, just based from the facts and from what Don himself has said. Her downfall was the lack of supervision. Just so happens that she liked to be outside. You would think that if your child liked to be outside so much, you think that you would just accept that you're going to be outside with them. I mean, I know they live in a remote area, but I would never leave my 5-year-old outside alone. I wouldn't even let my 9-year-old be outside alone. Mom Bear says, I do have a question. Was Don Wells and Candace around when Rose came up missing? No. This was far beyond or behind that. I want to say 2000 and... I want to look it up before I start talking. It's a good thing I checked. 2009. I was going to say 2007, but I didn't. I know that was wrong. So it was a long time before that, and I don't remember when Josie was born. I don't remember when they got together. I I feel like I remember people saying that it was like right before that. Um, but I could be wrong about that. 15. Let's see, he was 12. Oh my gosh, you're asking me to do math. 2021 minus 12, 2009. It was like all right around the same time. I feel like the beginning of their relationship ish, something like that. I can't remember how that all worked out. I'll have to. It is early for math. My math is not mathing today. God, where was that they were talking about that? The story, I think, something along the lines of that grandma was working at a motel in Arkansas at the time, and that's where Candace went to after a carnival problem. Like, she went to be with her mom, and that's where she met Dawn. But I don't know when that would have been. I don't know Josie's birthday. That's a good thought. I'm gonna have to look into that. Be interesting to know.
Good afternoon.
Go.
And thanks so much for choosing News Channel 11 at noon on this Thursday afternoon. I'm Cindy Kessler. Now, today marks 1 month in the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells in Hawkins County. This afternoon, the child remains at the center of a statewide Amber Alert. And new this afternoon, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says 978 tips have been received, but still no sign of the little girl. News Channel 11's Bianca Murray joins us live in studio with a latest update from the family of Summer Wells.
Sydney, I spoke with Summer's father, Donald Wells, this morning. He tells me that the family is having a hard time coping with Summer's disappearance, which, as you said, marks 1 month today. Donald Wells sharing this statement to me, which reads in part, quote, "The misinformation being circulated is not helping to find Summer. People on social media are only adding to the pain the family is going through." He went on to say that all of it is adding to the workload for detectives and distracting from the real goal of finding Summer, end quote. Donald Wells also told me that his other children are also being affected by Summer's disappearance, including what he calls, in his words, social media attacks on the family. I'll have more on the ongoing search for Summer later tonight on News Channel 11.
Bianca, thank you. Now, anyone with information on her whereabouts is asked to contact 1-800-TBI-FIND, or you can email any credible tips to the address on your screen. That's tips2TBI@tn.gov.
The father of missing 5-year-old Summer Wells is speaking out again, this time to address what he calls negativity circulating on social media.
Today marks 1 month since family members say the Hawkins County 5-year-old girl was last seen at her home in the Beech Creek community. That was June 15th. In a statement to News Channel 11, Donald Wells addressed what he said are attacks on his family and misinformation, saying, quote, "It's affecting my other children who already are hurting." Wells said now it's escalating to threats and potentially putting my other children in danger, end quote.
New at 6, News Channel 11's Bianca Murray spoke with members of the Wells Family Church who say that they've also been the target for social media backlash.
The Wells family attends the Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Kingsport, where the pastor tells me the membership is only around 200. The small church family tells me they have been bombarded with hate on social media simply for being close to the case.
These false accusations aren't helping anybody. Taking videos of our church services and looking for Summer Wells and trying to maybe put together some type of a theory or a conspiracy or some type of thought, it's not based on any evidence. and it's false, and it just hurts people and discourages people.
Kingsport Seventh-day Adventist pastor David Ryder tells me his congregation is struggling to cope with the disappearance of their 5-year-old church member.
They have, struggled with losing sleep at night, not eating, you could say even depression, just almost being sick over what's happened to Summer.
Summer's Sabbath school teacher Robin Lane tells me she's been at the center of social media accusations since her student's disappearance.
People just, they pick through everything you say and the way you say it, and even if your voice sounds a little shaky, it's nervous getting on camera sometimes. It's normal for us to be a little nervous sometimes when we're being asked questions. But people are just, they just attack every single little thing that you say and do. And
No, no, no. I mean, okay, yeah, that's true for some people that they're nervous on camera and stuff. But this is like my complaint, concern, issue that I have is that they're not on camera. That Candace is never on camera. And that when Don does go on camera, he's more concerned about himself and his reputation and him getting a job and him. I mean, it's all about Don and Candace when Don talks. It's like nothing to do with Summer, ever. I don't think that that's being anxious and nervous about being on TV. I think that's about being selfish and putting yourself ahead of your missing child. That's my 2 cents.
I just feel like it's not fair.
She's asking those on social media to think before they type.
That people who are messaging those mean things, that they need to remember that that is a real person that they are talking to. It may just look like a little profile picture of it may not even be the person's face, but there is a face behind that and there are feelings behind that, and they need to be careful what they say.
The church members I spoke with today say they are continuously offering support to the Wells family whenever they can. Reporting in Kingsport, Bianca Marais, News Channel 11.
Well, tonight, investigators with the TBI say they are still looking for the driver of a red Toyota Tacoma pickup truck with a full bed ladder rack, and they're stressing the driver of that truck is identified as a potential witness in the case, not a suspect.
I have several theories about what I think happened to Summer. I have one that I stick to more than anything else, but I kind of keep it to myself. But the thing is that if the wandering away thing is the actual thing that happened, I believe that she's done it before, and I believe that they didn't notice. I believe that it was a repeated event, and that again that she wandered off because from some of the storytelling, she had gotten into an argument with her brothers about that she wanted to hang out and they didn't. But the neglect comes in with the absence of being supervised. That's my problem with that. If she did wander off, it's because of the lack of supervision, which then means that the neglect of looking after her means that it's Candace's fault that happened, if we go with that theory, in my opinion. Because she was the adult there at the time. She should have been the one to supervise Summer. I think that the whole 2 minutes is a big fat lie. It just cannot happen that way. There's no way possible that would ever happen in 2 minutes. And that, in and of itself, tells me that Candace is lying about being a helicopter mom. I don't think it was 2 minutes. I think it was significantly longer than that. And I think that that the lack of supervision by an adult was probably the cause of Summer going missing. If we go with the walk-off thing, even if we go with the walk-off abduction thing, still all works together.
FBI says they've received 978. The search for missing.
We've already watched this one.
As the search for Summer Wells.
Okay, so here we are about EquiSearch. This is dated July 19, 2021. EquiSearch is going to come in. Yeah, I know Grandma was there, but it's Candace was the primary parent, the responsible party at the time. I don't think, So it's supposed to go like this. So Summer's supposed to go into the house and she's going to have some interaction with the brothers. I want to play with you. And they're going to be like, no, I don't want to hang out with you or whatever. She's going to have some discussion with them. And then she's going to walk down those really steep stairs and go into the basement. And then someone is going to come up from the road, up, however, through the dog trail or up the drive. Doesn't matter. Somebody comes from somewhere else. They walk up onto the property. They somehow know that she's in the basement at that exact moment, which, okay, whatever. So they're going to come up to the basement door, which we don't know if was locked or unlocked. And they're going to open the door and they're going to find her there. And miraculously, there's going to be nobody around. And Summer's not going to make any noise that her brothers could hear upstairs. And this person's going to take her out of the house and then close the basement door and then going to run down the dog trail instead of like an easier method. And all of that happens in 2 minutes. All of that happens in 2 minutes. It it just that just it cannot work that way. It just can't. It just cannot. Even even if even if we tried our hardest, even if we tried as hard as we could to make that happen, it can't happen. It can't be 2 minutes. It just can't be. Could she have been abducted? Yeah, she could have been. But it can't happen in 2 minutes, not the way that Candace described it. It just doesn't work. The interaction with the brothers should have taken at least like a minute, 30 seconds to a minute. So that only leaves, and being generous, let's say that talking with the brothers lasted for 30 seconds. That would leave a minute and a half to walk down the stairs and for this person to come up on the property and take her out and close the door and run her down without making a sound, mind you. All within a minute and a half. And Candace is supposed to be outside in front of the camper. And she's not going to hear anything? I can't believe that when she says she doesn't know if that door was locked or unlocked, that's a lie. There's no way that she wouldn't notice that. There's no way that that wouldn't be ingrained in her memory. If that was true, if it was true that she went in the basement and then she walked outside to see if she could find Summer, that would be ingrained in her memory. Because let's say you can't find your child. You go downstairs where she's supposed to be and she's not down there, and you get to the door and you realize the door's unlocked, you'd be like, oh my God, this door's unlocked. You would remember that. Versus if you went downstairs and you couldn't find her and you went over and you checked the door and it's locked, then you'd be like, okay, at least she didn't go outside that we know of. I mean, there would be an ingrained, imprinted memory of the door being locked or unlocked. And Candace says, I don't remember if it was locked or unlocked. That makes me believe that she didn't bother to check the door. I don't think that she checked the door because if she did, she should have an imprinted memory in her brain of doing that. It's the only thing that makes sense. This whole abduction thing is nonsense. In my opinion, it's a bunch of nonsense. There's no way someone is going to know that she's in the basement by herself. There's no way that someone's going to know that she's alone at some specific time on some specific day. I mean, it just can't happen. Statistically, it's like a 0% chance. Zero. None.
Jeremy, thank you. Well, a national search group will once again assist in the search for Summer Wells in Hawkins County. EquiSearch Midwest confirming that they will conduct searches the weekend of July 24th. Now, the group noting these searches will only be for EquiSearch members. News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel will have more on their search efforts tonight on News Channel 11. Now, despite a continuously growing tip count, which nears 1,000, more than a month later and still no sign of the missing 5-year-old who was last seen along Ben Hill Road June 15th. If you have any credible information regarding Summer, you're asked to contact the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-TBI-FIND or email.
Let's back that up for a minute.
Of the missing 5-year-old who was last seen along Ben Hill Road June 15th.
Who was last seen along Ben Hill Road. And we planted flowers, and we washed our hands, and we got a piece of candy, and she wanted to go in with her brothers, and she went in, and she talked to them, and she wanted to go downstairs, and she went downstairs, and she went down there to check, and she was just gone. The end. I mean, if she was abducted, okay, if Summer was abducted, she wasn't in her basement. She was outside. If she was abducted from outside, then Candace didn't spend 2 minutes. It was a lot longer that Summer was unsupervised. If we're going to go with that. It's more likely that she wandered away and got lost than it is that an abduction happened. I mean, statistically speaking, especially if they're trying to say it was a stranger abduction.
The ground search for Summer Wells is expanding this weekend as a search and rescue group from the Midwest is coming back to the area. Also tonight, investigators are still working tips and leads in the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells, who went missing from her home more than a month ago. Earlier today, a spokesperson for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said ground searches have happened consistently since the large-scale ground search ended.
And Ainsley Daniels in Hawkins County were crews.
Hi, Anna D. Anna says all scripted. I agree that is a script. I think that whole story with all of the ands in there, like we talked about earlier, I think that whole thing is a made-up thing. This word right here, polysyndeton. That repeated use of and is a way that Candace is bringing back is remembering a story, and not an event. I have a quote. Let me see. This is just a statement, a thing that was in one of my statement analysis books. It says, "Truthful people tell stories. Deceptive people report events." Truthful people tell stories. Deceptive people report events. It is what it is. And it is, I mean,
Have been looking with the latest from the TBI on where the Amber Alert stands.
Josh and Sarah, since the ground search for Summer Wells here in the Beech Creek community was pulled back several weeks ago, with little information being released from investigators, many viewers have reached out asking if the Amber Alert for Summer has been canceled or called off. Although there is no update from law enforcement today, the TBI assures that this investigation is continuing on and that they are following up on every lead and tip, and that this alert will remain active until Summer is located.
We have agents assigned to the active Amber Alerts that you will find on the TBI website. Again, we continue to get leads on the older Amber Alerts as well, and anytime we receive information, we will follow up on it, and we maintain an open investigation, and again, until that child has been recovered.
Authorities are still looking for the driver of a red or maroon Toyota Tacoma with a full bed ladder rack with white buckets in the back. That truck was seen in the area around the time Summer went missing. The TBI says there will not be any media availability until there is a significant development in this case that can be released publicly. In the Beech Creek community, Ainsley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Tonight, Mark.
Okay. Now, let me get up here. We're in like mid to about July 20 is where we're starting here. They're talking about the communication problems. Hi, Guitar Man. And it's very interesting to me because in one of these videos about communication problems, get up there.
The Department of Child Protection.
So the title of the video is Hawkins County Emergency Officials Struggle with Radio Issues. It was posted July 21st of 2021. And for whatever reason, they start with DCS.
The Department of Child Protective Services confirmed today they are involved in the investigation into the disappearance of Summer Wells. They would not elaborate, though, on how they were involved.
Meanwhile,
this gets talked about all the time, and I'm like, I swear to God, it's from the news. This is where it's from. It's from a video that's supposed to be about emergency communications.
The Department of Child Protective Services confirmed today they are involved in the investigation into the disappearance of Summer Wells. They would not elaborate, though, on how they were involved.
Meanwhile, this afternoon, the Hawkins
Anna D says, I don't believe the boys referred to the basement as the playroom. That's a thought. I think what they said, well, Candace said that they said that she went downstairs to play with her toys. I think that's how that was worded. And that, and that, and that. Mama Bear says, Candace and Dawn won't speak to me, but they will send people to let me know I hurt their friends' feelings, but won't talk to me about their child coming up gone. Make it make sense. I know. Everything that I have seen from Dawn, and nothing from Candace because she doesn't ever talk to anybody, is that their concern is their self-image and how people perceive them and how they can't get jobs and how this is this is affecting them and how all these bad things are happening to them. And then in like this far distant second place, so far you can't even see it anymore, is like Summer. And it's all like backwards to me. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I mean, my perspective has been, and it still is, I'm still going to stand on this, that Dawn and Candace should feel like the luckiest parents of a missing child in the sense that they have the ability to come onto YouTube and talk to countless creators on live streams and spread all kinds of information um, about their missing child. They have that ability that most parents of missing children don't have. They don't have an outlet like that. But yet Dawn and Candace never take up on that offer, ever. And when they go on the news, when Dawn goes on the news, he talks about himself and Candace. He doesn't talk about Summer. So yet another wasted opportunity. Hi, Ginger Snap. Do you know what I mean? And that makes me so angry. I don't care where they go on YouTube. I don't care what channel it is, but not every creator on YouTube is going to be mean to them. I think that if they would just give a consistent story, I think that if they would stop putting themselves ahead of their missing child, that would go far with some people. Sarah says they never put out the flyers that Josh sent. I remember that now. Huh. Brady says they shared their public disdain for CPS. Allegedly, they were there on 6/14, and the news shares that they are involved into Summer's disappearance of unknown reason. They are dysfunctional. And this whole coming out with these court papers from CPS now saying that they're innocent, that's not true. Those papers don't say they're innocent. There's a whole big thing on my community wall all about it. I break down all that whole court record and walk through the whole damn thing. The only thing that they won was the removal of the title of an abuser, a neglectful parent. And the reason that they lost the title is because you can't abuse children you no longer have access to. And that's factual. So if you're going to call Dawn a child abuser with regards to his children, if he doesn't have access to his children anymore, then he can't abuse them. Therefore, he can't be a child abuser of those children. That's what happened. That's what they removed, was the title, not the charge of, and I don't mean charge like criminal charge, not the accusation of abusing or neglecting. It's just, there's no reason to pursue that anymore. Dawn was appealing something that no longer existed. And you can't appeal something that doesn't exist. So when they're like, we're innocent, no, they're not. No, they're not. They never had any kind of trial. A judge has never come and said, oh, they're innocent. There's never been any dismissal of that sort of thing. CPS has never come out and said that their findings were not, that they found that those findings were like can't remember the wording that it would be used. It's all in my community tab if you're interested.
Hawkins County Public Safety Committee discussed ongoing issues with their 911 and radio systems that some say impacted the initial ground search efforts in the search for Summer Wells. Leaders with the Churchill Rescue Squad, the Hawkins County Rescue Squad, the Emergency Management Agency, and 911, as well as other operation leaders, spoke in front of this committee today in Rogersville. A lot of praise toward emergency leaders, but committee members expressed frustration over the lack of information about the investigation, and they felt they were blamed for communication issues.
We approved, and we all know where those radios are sitting at.
I personally was not given authorization to do that.
That's fine that you weren't, and I understand. I've covered my butt too, but I mean, it had nothing to do with you. I'm just saying it was given. We gave authority to do that, whether it be you or whoever.
That was the committee co-chair Dawson Fields and EMA director Jamie Miller. Each report mentioned the issues faced by crews on the ground in Beech Creek during the search.
Yeah, you know, the thing about the CPS thing, or whatever it's called, DCS, whatever it's called there, they were removed, the boys were removed, but not like, it wasn't like they just lost everything that minute. They were given the opportunity to fix up the home and to kind of get themselves straightened out and stuff. They were given months and months and months of time to do that, and they did not. They did not. And as a matter of fact, Dawn went on a couple months later to get arrested for a DUI. So it's, I mean, how long is it DCS? How long is DCS supposed to wait for parents to get their shit together? I mean, it's not as though, like, if you were to ask me to put up drywall, I'd be like, I have no clue how to do this. I need to go and hire someone. But it's not like Dawn and Candace didn't know how to do drywall. It's not like they didn't know how to do house repairs. And so what excuse is there to not have that completed? It's not like they had anybody to look after. Their children were all gone. But yet they couldn't keep it together. They couldn't repair their home. They couldn't stop drinking. And they couldn't stop being arrested. It's like they just didn't care whether they got them back or not. And I feel like, and I could be misremembering, but I feel like they were also ordered to take some classes. I can't remember what the classes were for, but I feel like they were ordered to take some classes, and that Dawn did it and Candace didn't. Something like that. Yeah, spackling drunk. At least there would be a wall. It might not be the greatest looking wall. I'm not saying that that everything that DCS does is on the up and up. But what do you do when these parents are clearly putting their children in danger? They have admitted on camera to neglecting a child who went missing, and then all they have to do is take some classes and fix up their house, and they could have their children back, and it's months and months and months go by, and then what? I mean, I can't with that. I just can't. That comes up, I think, in the next video. Not this one.
7 days since Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells.
We go here to new information in the search for Summer Wells, the 5-year-old girl at the center of an Amber Alert. The child went missing in the woods of Hawkins County more than a month ago now, June 15th. Now, a renowned search and rescue team is returning to East Tennessee to help.
First, we begin at 5 o'clock with breaking news. The father of missing Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells has told a podcast his other children now have been removed from the family home.
News Channel 11 spoke with Jennifer Youngblood, the host of J for Justice, who had Don Wells on her podcast last weekend, where he confirmed Child Protective Services is now involved in the case.
The rumor is that they were taken out of the home. Were they taken from you guys? Were they? Oh, no. Yesterday?
A couple days ago.
We'll hear much more of the conversation Don Wells had with Jays for Justice coming up tonight at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, Not Crazy says, if I recall correctly, there were some classes required and there wasn't compliance. That's what I was thinking too, but I can't remember where I heard that from. I feel like it was on Cracking Cases, maybe. Because that's also the same place that Candace told Cam and Allie that that she reported Dawn for abusing drugs, and that then when they came and tested them, drug tested Dawn, they also drug tested Candace, and they both failed. And then that subsequently was, I don't know if it was like the final nail in the coffin, but that was the thing that tipped it over. Something like that. There was a failure of a drug test, which would make sense if there was a class that was ordered. I don't know how that they've gone all this time without being charged with something. It's something. I don't know.
It's now been nearly 6 weeks since 5-year-old Summer Wells of Hawkins County was reported missing. Investigators still have not reported any solid leads in finding her. Family members reported her missing June 15th. TBI issued an Amber Alert for her the next day.
Searchers with the group EcuSearch Midwest returned to our region over this past weekend to search the grounds near where Summer was last seen in the Beech Creek community. The group said they were looking for any evidence pointing to what might have happened to Summer Wells, but their search this weekend came up empty.
The Amber Alert for Summer remains active. If you have any credible information regarding Summer Wells, contact TBI. If you see her, call 911. We are nearing 6 weeks since Summer Wells was reported missing from her home in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County, prompting a statewide Amber Alert and multi-agency search and investigation. That case not only spreading far with agencies from all around this area involved, but also with interest from around the world.
Yeah, Ainsley Daniel spoke with the host of the Jay for Justice podcast, who had Don Wells on the podcast last weekend, where he confirmed how the Department of Children's Services is now involved.
Josh and Sarah, last week we told you the Department of Children's Services was involved in the Summer Wells investigation. Over the weekend, Summer's father, Don, confirmed on the Jay is for Justice podcast that their other children had been removed from the home.
The rumor is that they were taken out of the home. Were they taken from you guys? Were they? Oh, no. Yesterday?
A couple days ago.
Jennifer Youngblood is the host of crime podcast Jay is for Justice. She has interviewed Wells before and saw rumors circulating on social media that the older children had been removed from the home.
I could tell when he answered the phone that he sounded broken to me. He did not sound like the same Don Wells that I spoke to, the week previous. He didn't sound hopeful. He sounded very depressed. And he confirmed that the boys were in fact taken a couple days prior.
In the almost 10-minute phone interview, Wells explained how the theories and speculation about what happened to his daughter are affecting him.
They come to me and said I had somebody, either posing or said they had the inside scoop with CBI and that they knew that I sold my daughter for drugs. And I flipped out. I believed that stuff. Like an idiot, I believed it. Then I flipped out. I started drinking and everything else. That's why they took our kids.
Her YouTube channel has 46.5.
You see, that's why they took our kids. I flipped out. I began drinking. That's why they took our kids.
And I flipped out. I believed that stuff. Like an idiot, I believed it. Then I flipped out. I started drinking and everything else. That's why they took our kids.
See? That's why they took our kids.
Her YouTube channel has 46.5 thousand subscribers, and her interview with Don Wells from Saturday has been...
First tonight, the parents of Summer Wells. It is...
Okay, we're going to watch 2 more, and then we're going to take a break and call it a day.
Now been more than 8 weeks since the family of Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells reported her missing.
Law enforcement wants the public to know their investigation into Summer's disappearance is still going on tonight. Summer Wells was reported missing by her family on the evening of June 15th. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation issued an Amber Alert the next day. For several weeks following, hundreds of rescue personnel performed a ground search in the immediate area near her Beech Creek community home in Hawkins County. While the search not as visible as before, Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson today said that he and his officers have not given up on finding her.
I understand people's curiosity about where we're at in the case as far as investigation. I know people speculate, and I understand that, but they have to understand our number one goal from day one is to find Summer, and everybody's still a suspect, person of interest, however you want to put it, and we're still very intensely looking into it.
Investigator.
Okay, so here's a question. So this is from this date on this is August 11, 2021. If it's true that Dawn and Candace passed their polygraph, then why are they still considered persons of interest? If everybody's still a person of interest, that would include Dawn and Candace, right? If they passed their polygraph, why have they not been excluded? Just curious. Just asking. Let me this is going to be our last one. It's a TBI update from September 23rd.
Learhart with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We thought we would take a few minutes to update you on the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells. As you know, she was reported missing from her home on Ben Hill Road in Hawkins County on June 15th. Unfortunately, there's still more questions than answers, but we haven't given up, and we won't. Agents and detectives with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office continue to work daily to determine what happened to Summer.
But we're still looking, we're still searching, we're still following tips. And one thing that we need to do is preserve the integrity of this case, because we can't tell everything we're doing. We can't tell everything we know. And a lot of stuff that we get called on, we've already done several times.
We want to urge you only to share information from official sources. The misinformation and speculation simply don't help the case. Our teams continue to sift through hundreds of tips, and it turns out most of them are rooted in rumors and bad information spread on social media.
That causes us confusion with all the tips that we get and we're going through. A lot of it is coming off of social media. And what we want to do is get more tips that we can rely on to help us find Summer. And that's our whole goal, is to find Summer.
We appreciate your partnership and ongoing interest in the search for Summer. Please know, as much as you want answers, we want them more. We ask that you understand that our priority has to be figuring out what happened to her. And as Sheriff Lawson mentioned, in order to preserve the integrity of the case, that might mean we cannot share everything we know.
You know, I understand that they don't want to ruin their case. I completely get that. I do. But at the same time, it's been all this time now. It's been 4 years, and they haven't gotten anywhere. I mean, they're still at the same place they were on the very first day. So, don't you think by now they could tell like a little bit more information? Just a little bit, just a little tiny something to maybe like reignite the investigation? You know what I mean? Oh, that's a good one. Not find. What happened? I'm going to back that up. How far back was that?
Please know, as much as you want answers, we want them more. We ask that you understand that our priority has to be figuring out what happened to her.
What happened to her? I did not catch that. I'm glad you're here. But what happened to, well, okay. That's almost like they've given up on trying to find her. Like if I were going to pick that out, nitpick at that, I would interpret that as they don't have any hope they'll actually find her, and that rather they're just now just settling with that they hope they just find out, like, what happened. Not that they're actually gonna find her at this point. Hmm. That could mean something, it could mean nothing. It's hard to take one little thing out of a little tiny video, but I get where you're going. I see that now. Hmm. That's interesting. All right. Oh, she's so cute. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. We've been here for 3 hours, and I need a break. I know we didn't get very far. We made it to September. At least we addressed the 5:30 problem and the and this, and that, and this, and that. The end problem. Sheesh. Do you guys want me to see if I can find the loop? I can if you want to. I just have to look for it. I don't know where I put it. Eva, I really should make a new one. There it is. Oh, she's so cute. Okay. Put it up here. I'm not sure when I'll be back. I need to gather some more information and so we can do our next review. If you're on the replay and you've actually made it this far, if I've missed something or if I've got something wrong, let me know. And we'll go from there. All right. I love you guys, and avoid the drama. It's not worth it. Just stick with the facts. And yeah. All right. I talk to you guys soon.
Why is it doing that? What is
It's lightning, baby.
oh.
Let's not forget why we're here. Summer Wells, she's the one that brought us all together. I know all of you because of her. We won't stop searching. We won't give up. We're going to keep on going. I think we're all on a mission. So please be kind to one another, because you never know. No one is immune from tragedy, no matter who you are. So just remember, what do you want your legacy to be when you leave this life? I love all of you, and I'm so glad you guys are here.
So colorful.
You know, whatever it is, Brandon, that, you know, whatever reason why you possibly wanted to leave, I wish you just at least let us know that you're okay, because we're horribly worried about you. This is all, anything you might be feeling, feelings are temporary and fleeting like the wind, right? You feel it go by you, but you are not your feelings.
I promised my husband and daughter that I would do everything in my power to get them justice, and that's just what I have to do.
everybody having a good day. Hope everybody accomplished something significant. Even if you didn't accomplish anything significant, don't be discouraged. Just aim to accomplish something significant tomorrow and the next day, and so on. If anybody's going through anything, I hope and I pray that you get through it, and just know that you do have the strength to get through whatever the fuck you're going through, no matter what it is.